jury, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, before we begin, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I first want to thank you for your patience with us this morning. I do know for your purposes we did get off to a late start here today. I can inform you that was for administrative reasons, and you're not to hold that against either side. Additionally, I wanted to just let the jury know that I did receive an inquiry regarding juror compensation and how that works and when that takes place. And as a result of that inquiry, I will inform you that Madam Clerk is going to be providing you a 2-page handout that discusses how to go about contacting jury administration if the information in that 2-page document does not satisfy your inquiry, and that will be handed to you at your next break, okay? So I do appreciate your adherence to the rules in continuing to provide all questions to the court by way of note. The court appreciates your listening and paying attention and adhering to the court's instructions so we can keep everything orderly and to make sure that everyone is aware of what's going on. Aside from that, we are ready to call, I believe, Officer Froelich back to the stand here this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, you will remember that yesterday we did have Officer Froelich on the stand on behalf of the state for direct examination. The court did interrupt that testimony for the testimony of another witness, and at this time we are ready to resume with the testimony of Officer Froelich. So I would ask the state to please recall Officer Froelich to the stand.
This is Lieutenant James Froelich.
Thank you. If you'd please take the stand. Good morning. Good morning. All right. You can please take the stand, Officer Froelich. I will remind you that you do remain under the obligations of the oath that you took when you first entered the witness stand yesterday. Okay, you may be seated. Thank you. Counsel, if you'd like to note for the record the introduction of an exhibit as a full exhibit so that we all know that it's in its full at this point in time.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Lieutenant Froelich.
Good morning.
I'll remind you again, just please keep your voice up so that that mic can get your voice out across this courtroom.
Okay.
Okay. You will recall yesterday, before we interrupted your testimony, that I had asked you about the return of Mr. Morales to 105 First Ave after the statement that he had given at Ansonia PD. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And do you recall I asked you, had Mr. Morales, prior to being returned to 105 5th Street, had he been advised of the death of Christine Holloway?
No.
And when you returned to 105 First Avenue, I believe your testimony was yesterday that Mr. Morales remained in the car while footwear was retrieved for him.
That's correct.
And at some point in time, was he brought into the house?
Yes, we brought the footwear out to him, and he walked into the house with us.
Okay. Now, when you entered into 105 First Avenue at that point in time, who was there amongst the Ansonia police officers?
So there's Detective Adcox, myself, obviously, Officer Castillo, and Sergeant Pereira were all present.
And in accordance with applicable Ansonia PD policy, were the officers equipped with body-worn camera?
Yes.
And were they running at that point in time?
Yes.
Prior to coming into court today, I want to show you States 179 as a full exhibit. And you had an opportunity to review this disc prior to coming into court today.
Yes, I did.
And can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what is contained on States 179?
This is a body-worn camera video from Detective Adcox's camera.
And the videos that you saw on this disc, were they complete? Was it the complete time that you were at 105 5th Street?
So the video that
First Ave, I'm sorry, 105 First Avenue.
Yeah. So the video I watched, it was a segmented video. It had multiple sections that were cut out, and there may be some stuff that was muted. So it was condensed into a smaller version. It was not the whole recording of our time at 105 First Avenue.
Okay. Did you make any of those edits?
Yes.
Okay. With the assistance of the state's attorney's office in editing the video?
Correct.
Okay. With regard to that, now, what was left on this disc, was this a fair and accurate representation of at least what is represented in the segments that are on this body-worn camera?
Yes, whatever's on that video that I watched is the same, exactly what happened during our interactions with the family at 105 First Avenue.
Except for the fact that it's fragmented?
Yes.
And sometimes muted?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to offer States 179 as a full exhibit, Your Honor.
Same objection, Your Honor.
All right, I understand. Court is going to go ahead and accept into evidence states, is it 179 you said, I'm sorry?
179, Your Honor.
179 is a full exhibit. Thank you.
Now, with regard to this Exhibit 179, Detective Froelich, does this cover a point in time where Mr. Morales, in the presence of some family members, is advised of the death of Christine Holloway?
That's correct.
And does it capture fragments of a period of time following that notification?
Yes.
All right, counsel, before we publish that, I would like to address the jury. So members of the jury, the exhibit that is about to be published has been accepted into evidence as a redacted version of the original. You must not speculate as to why the information was redacted or what was redacted. Redacted information is not evidence, and as indicated earlier in my initial instructions to you, you may not go outside the evidence introduced in court to find the facts. This means you may not resort to guesswork, conjecture, or speculation. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to also give you a further instruction regarding the contents of this video. During this video, you will hear witnesses other than Jose Morales make statements to the defendant or other persons, or making exclamations. Those statements are not being offered for the truth of the matter, but rather for the effect of those statements and exclamations on the defendant. So you are not to consider those statements for the truth of the words spoken. You may consider the words only for the reasons they are offered, and that is to explain what Jose Morales did after hearing the words spoken. Okay. With that, I'll allow you to go ahead and play the video.
Identify for us, Lieutenant, who are the people that we're seeing in this screenshot?
So that's me standing in the middle right of the screen, Lieutenant Froelich. To the right, as we're looking at it, of me is Sergeant Pereira, and to the left of me is Jose Morales' mother, Lydia.
And can you tell us where it stopped? It's not readily apparent, but where is Mr. Morales in this video?
So Mr. Morales would be sitting probably right underneath where Sergeant Pereira is on the couch. So not on that couch there that he's standing next to, but there's another couch that runs from him towards the camera.
So will it be the bottom right-hand corner of the TV as we're looking at it?
Yes, I think that is in the bottom right-hand corner is Lydia's husband. And then on the other side of him is Jose.
Okay, thank you.
We know where Christine is. Yes. Yes. Christine's dead. We're looking for your something. This shining light on our situation that we're working on right now. We're investigating. So I'll let you know this. It's a homicide. tell you. I don't know. What information you want? Obviously, something did happen. Were they in a serious relationship? Were they in a serious relationship? What he said. Oh, it wasn't a serious relationship. If they were dating, so he's gonna say you were. I was with him. On Monday. The weekend. On Monday. Well, you just said you were with Hector on Monday. You said I don't remember. I was with Hector the weekend. Why on Monday? They asked me on Monday. Listen, you're on here. You can do it for me. But you are putting up a lot of walls. It's not a lot of walls. They might break it, but still, I'm like clear by the expression. Okay, I can understand that. You have a lot of stress in your life? Yeah, I have no job. Okay, so I'm broke. You got married. You good. You got 3 kids. You're trying to support 3 kids. I can't. Yes, that's not easy. That's not easy. Yeah, you should be the one supporting your parents on camera now. That's not how it is. You just lost your job a few months ago. I understand all that. But that puts people in the wrong set, in the wrong mindset. Okay? So, it does. So just don't think really about things, right? You know, so I FaceTimed you from Hector House, then you believed that I was with her. Did you see her? Did you see anything in the background? You saw my face on FaceTime. I was making you believe that I was like Christine. But I didn't want you to think that I was like Frank Party. So what were we FaceTiming? What were we FaceTiming? With Hector.
What's the exhibit that we should put?
You have your phone?
Yeah.
So then you should have Hector's, No. You should have Hector's contact. No. I was FaceTiming with the No, I got here.
State, what is the state?
Upstairs. Well, I'm just FaceTiming downstairs. But that's not Hector's number. No. Not Hector. I was FaceTiming my mom. But that's not what you said. No. Not his phone. With my iPad. Well, I said iPad.
I'm going to use that. We can keep that close by. I'm going to use that one.
Turning 179 over to Attorney Caput.
All right, thank you.
Now, Lieutenant Froelich, the video ended. I'm showing the jury 176, which is a full exhibit.
Give me the phone.
There was a discussion regarding an iPad as the 179 came to conclusion. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Showing you what has been marked 176 as a full exhibit. Do you recognize what this is?
Yes, it's the blue iPad that was given to us by Lydia.
So following where that video cut off, first of all, did Lydia De Jesus bring this iPad to you?
So I during that interaction, I asked where the iPad was, and she said it was downstairs, and we went downstairs, and she handed it to us.
There and after, ultimately, was there a search and seizure warrant that was granted and executed for 105 First Avenue in New Haven?
Yes, there was.
And was this iPad, amongst other things, that was seized from 105 First Avenue pursuant to that search and seizure warrant?
Yes, it was.
Can you just tell me what exhibit?
176.
Thank you very much.
I have nothing further.
Thank you.
Attorney Gavin.
Sure.
Hi, Lieutenant. How are you?
Good morning, sir.
How are we doing?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
Great. Lieutenant, I think it's just easier if we go back to the video that was previously marked as State's Exhibit 179. And I want to just take you through that while it's fresh in everyone's recollection.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay?
We know where Christine is.
Okay. Thank you. I'm just going to stop and go. Okay. All right. Lieutenant, this is a full exhibit, and obviously you're standing in the middle of the room, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
And just so we are oriented, this was Tuesday, December 3rd, correct?
Yes.
And this would have been after Mr. Morales had voluntarily gone to the Ansonia Police Department earlier in the morning. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Right, and that's when he was interviewed by you and Detective Adcox, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Right, and that's when we saw Brian Hart come in on the video and take his clothing and his cell phones at that time.
I don't know if he took his cell phones, but I know he was removing the clothing from Jose Morales.
Okay, and if you don't recall the cell phones, that's okay. He was already testified. But you recall being there, and Mr. Morales' clothes, his shirts, his pants, his socks, and such were put in evidence bags, correct?
That is correct.
Right. And just back then, in 2019, I think your title was actually Detective Sergeant. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Right. And the other brother and sister officers from the Ansonia Police Department, and some of them will be on the video, they were reporting to you as the supervisor of the Detective Bureau.
That's correct.
Right. Everything sort of ran through you, correct?
Well, it ran through me and then it ran up above me.
Sure. I mean, it could go all the way up to the chief of police, correct? But
Well, in this type of case, it's this is a serious case where there's all hands on deck and
all hands on board.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in regard, just so we're clear, you were a detective sergeant. The other individuals that were identified as detectives would have reported to you as the detective sergeant.
yes, I was the ranking officer there. Correct.
Ranking officer.
Yeah.
That's terrific. Okay. And we'll just keep this before we start playing. So you see the woman in the bottom left-hand quadrant there?
Yes.
That's Lydia De Jesus, correct?
Yes.
Right. That's Mr. Morales' mom.
Correct.
Right? Okay. And I want you to tell us what efforts and interactions did you have with his mother during the course of the investigation regarding the homicide of Christine Howley?
I'm not sure what you're asking me.
Sure. You met with her multiple times, did you not?
I met with her, I think, once prior to this interaction.
I want to ask you about the entire investigation period.
Okay.
Okay? You met with Ms. De Jesus on that night, on December 3rd.
Correct.
Right? I mean, you're there and she's there.
Correct.
And I want you to tell us, what other times did you meet with Lydia De Jesus in regard to the investigation of the death of Christine Howley?
I think I recall we met maybe one or two other times to talk about where Vanessa may have been and if she had any information. I've also talked to her maybe over the phone a few times.
Okay, what was that about if you talked to her over the phone?
I think it was.
I'm going to object to anything that goes to hearsay, Your Honor. What he asked is fine, but with regard to any answers, wouldn't be hearsay.
Okay, sustained with respect to statements that other people made, out-of-court statements.
I'm offering it for the effect that those statements had on the investigators, not for the truth of the matter asserted therein, so it falls within the hearsay exception.
Again, Your Honor, I think that information about if it's not being offered for the truth, then simply saying that based upon what you were told, what, if anything, did you do next?
Okay. I'm going to ask the jury to step out for a moment. Thank you. You may be seated. The reason why the court asked the jury to step out is because I think we are treading water here relative to a few things. One is the court's prior ruling regarding Vanessa Morales. I already heard that part of the reason for the conversation was to locate the missing child, Vanessa Morales. I want to make sure that we don't continue to bring this stuff up in our cross-examination because it was the defense that asked for that information to be precluded from this particular trial and to try to separate this as best we could. The second is that, and I didn't want to do all of this in front of the jury, the second is that we are assuming that the response is going to include hearsay, and we continue to do that. And lastly, if we're going to use an exception, we have to lay the proper foundation, and we have to make sure that we understand that the witness did rely on it or that it did have an effect on the witness. So I bring all of those things to your attention so that we don't have to reiterate this again moving forward, so I don't have to keep asking the jury to step out. I would like, at this point in time, to make sure that everyone understands how this court is trying to keep Vanessa Morales out of this particular trial, solely at the request, of course, of the defense. So, Attorney Gavin, it's difficult to do that when your cross-examination questions are forcing the witnesses into responding honestly, and that part of the reasoning for what they're doing in their conduct has to do with locating Vanessa, who is still missing at the time of this investigation. So I just want to raise that.
May I expand on that as well? I am well aware of this investigation and what Lieutenant Froehlich's testimony is going to be. And I believe a vast majority, if not all of what he's going to be talking about was in furtherance of locating Vanessa. I believe that the investigation at some point in time turned well beyond the homicide at hand and went into trying to track down Vanessa.
And prior to asking questions about conversations or statements that have been made out of court, which are clearly hearsay, unless, of course, you're not offering them for the truth of the matter, I just want to make sure counsel lays the proper foundation so that I don't have to keep exiting the jury. So I'm going to bring the jury back in and allow everyone to do that, and I'll address the hearsay issue at that time. Attorney Gavin.
Your Honor, thank you. I have no intention of going into the Vanessa investigation. In fact, the way I couched the question was in regard to our previous discussions when I asked him about information that was involved in the investigation regarding the death of Christine Holloway. I'm not inviting any discussion regarding looking for Vanessa Morales. Just while the jury's out, I intend on asking the supervisory detective in regard to information that he received, which we're going to see shortly on the video, regarding Hector Rodriguez, what steps were taken during that investigation, and consequence for the investigation of the death of Christine Holloway, and then potentially into the information that Detective Sergeant at that time and now Lieutenant Froelich received regarding PCP use, all directed towards the investigation regarding the death of Christine Holloway.
Right, counsel, I understand that, but as the evidence comes in, the foundation has to be laid, and I want you to be pretty specific about it, keeping in mind the Vanessa portion of it, because these officers were working simultaneously on trying to locate a missing child, and relevant to the effect on the listener, just make sure the foundation is laid, obviously, before we discuss the contents of any conversation. So if some conduct is taken, or there's furtherance of an investigation, let's get that on the record first so we don't have to keep doing this.
That would be
okay.
Sure, thank you.
All right, so why don't we bring the jury back in? So we're going to withdraw the last question, Attorney Gavin, and I'll allow you to go ahead and continue your cross-examination. You may be seated. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, welcome back. Counsel, please stipulate to the return of our jurors.
Stipulator.
All right, so to the extent an objection was made, I believe you wanted to withdraw your question. Okay, so the question is withdrawn, no ruling on this, on the objection. Attorney Gavin, you may proceed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lieutenant Froelich, I'm going to ask you a series of questions regarding the investigation into the death of Christine Holloway. That is the scope of my questions regarding the Ansonia Police Department and your efforts in regard to the investigation of the death of Christine Holloway. Okay?
Okay.
So we're on the same page there.
I will try my best to answer.
Okay, I'm sure you will. Thank you. So we left off. You see Lydia DeJesus, Mr. Morales' mom, in the video, correct?
Yes, sir.
Sir, and again, this is the last time I'm going to do it. In regard to the investigation regarding the death of Christine Holloway, what interaction did you or the members of the Ansonia Police Department have with Lydia DeJesus?
So the only interaction I can remember is a phone conversation.
Okay. When you tell us the phone conversation, when was that? Just for
I don't remember the date or the time of when it occurred.
was it before this?
I don't recall when. It was after this interaction.
Yeah, okay, that's
Yes.
we'll start off there. So we know that this is Tuesday, December the 3rd, early in the morning hours, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you have a recollection, again, in regard to the investigation of the death of Christine Holloway, that you had other interaction with Lydia DeJesus, correct?
Over the phone.
Over the phone, okay. Did you attend any of the interviews with Jose Morales and his mother at the correctional facility regarding the investigation into the death of Christine Holloway?
I may have.
Okay, and tell us what that was about.
I don't recall. Do you have something to refresh my memory? A report or something? I don't.
I'll get
Okay.
that to you. But do you recall as part of the investigation into the death of Christine Holloway that his mother went up to the correctional facility to talk to him?
Correct. Yes, she did.
And that was recorded, correct?
It was. I did not do a report on that.
Okay. I'm not asking you whether you did
Okay.
report, but when Lydia DeJesus went up to go see her son at the correctional institution, that was in accordance with the Ansonia Police Department and the investigation regarding the death of Christine Holloway.
Yes.
Okay, and that interview was recorded, was it not?
So I would like you to re-ask that other question you just asked me.
Sure. When the Ansonia Police Department sent Lydia DeJesus in to speak with her son,
Yep.
that was recorded. That's the only question I have for you.
It was recorded.
Okay, great. And that was used for investigative purposes, is that correct? That's a yes or no?
Yes, I'm trying. Yes.
Okay, that's
Yes.
okay. That's fine. Okay, so you have a recollection of his mom going up to the correctional facility and that being recorded, and certainly you had interaction with her here on the morning of Tuesday, December 3rd
Yes, I
at
did.
105 First Avenue.
Yep.
Okay, and as you sit here, you don't have any other recollection of interaction with Ms. De Jesus regarding the investigation into the death of Christine Holloway?
I had a phone call with her. I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay. But as you sit here, and I know it's 5 years later, I get it, I understand. You don't recall when you had that phone call?
I do not.
Okay.
No.
That's fine.
Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you. If we can go forward with the video, please.
Yes. Yes. Christine's dead. We're looking for your son to shine the light on our situation that we're working with right now. We're investigating, so I'll let you know this. It's a homicide.
Sir, if you can, you see the gentleman in the lower left-hand side of the screen?
Yeah. Lower left-hand side.
Yeah, as we look at it on the lower left-hand side. Do you see?
So
Marcos?
I would take that as Jose's stepfather. Okay.
Okay, just if you can, do you know who Marcos Garcia is?
Yes.
Who is that?
That's Jose's stepfather.
Is that him depicted over with his wife in the left-hand side of the video?
Yeah, she's the one hugging. Yeah, he's hugging his wife.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's standing up and Lydia De Jesus is sitting down.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're fine. Okay, thank you. Can you stop right there? And if you can, at this frame, after Mr. Marcos Garcia goes over to his wife and you see her hand around, where is Mr. Jose Morales in this frame?
He's in the lower right.
Okay, with his hands around his face?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at the point that this occurred, where you indicated to Ms. Lydia De Jesus and Mr. Marcos Garcia that Christine Holloway was deceased, had you previously advised Mr. Morales of that fact?
I did not.
Right. He's hearing this contemporaneous with his mom and his dad that Christine is found deceased. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
We are looking for all the help we can get. She's at her apartment.
Your Honor, this is not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted therein. Do you recall another voice that just answered and said, in the apartment?
Yes, sir.
Was that Detective Adcox?
That is correct.
Okay. And he was there, though he's not on the screen from the video, from the body camera, correct?
That is his body camera that we're watching.
Right, because it's his, so
Yep.
he wouldn't be depicted in there.
Correct.
Okay, and the body cameras are on the body of an officer looking forward, and they go ahead and record. Body cameras.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Oh my God! Oh my God! But we can't find the car that he said she's always driving. But we know where the car is that you say she's driving. They know what? Yeah.
Okay, Lieutenant, so in that clip, were you addressing Mr. Garcia?
I was addressing the whole family.
Oh, okay, and you were talking about Christine Holloway's car, were you not?
Yes.
Oh, okay, and you indicated, I thought you indicated, we'll replay it, that you were directing this towards Mr. Garcia because you knew where Christine Holloway's car was.
So I may have been facing them, but that the interaction was for the whole family.
Okay, when you were referring to where you told us where the car was, who were you referring to?
Oh, maybe then him. I'll have to replay it.
Could we go back 10 seconds, please?
Just the slider.
So we can't find the car that he said she's always driving. But we know where the car is that you say she's driving. They know what?
So I was addressing both of them.
Oh, you were addressing Mr. Garcia and Lydia De Jesus.
Correct.
Okay, and you're notating your conversation there that they had told you something about the car. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you knew what kind of car it was at that point, correct?
Which car?
That Christine Holloway had purchased.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. What's up? When I asked you about her buying a new car, you said
referring in the colloquy there that you had taken Mr. Morales' Nissan Sentra at that point, correct?
Yes.
Right, and there was previous testimony, just see if this is consistent with your recollection, that the Holloway vehicle and the Morales vehicle would have been towed up to Troop I barracks in Bethany. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, okay. I don't believe, I'll ask you, you didn't go to Troop I in Bethany to go through the examination of the vehicles.
I was not there.
Okay.
Correct.
But would you agree with me on Tuesday, December 3rd, early in the morning, that the Holloway vehicle and the Morales vehicle were located outside, withdrawn, poorly worded. Would you agree with me that when you appeared at 105 First Avenue on Tuesday morning in this video, that the Morales vehicle was parked outside of the residence?
The Nissan Sentra was parked out of 105 First Avenue. Yes, it was parked there.
And that would have been seized for evidentiary purposes, is that correct?
Yes, we did seize the vehicle.
Yeah,
Correct.
and that's what you just told them, Jose, we just took your car.
Yes, that's what I advised him, that we just took his car.
Right, referring to the Nissan Sentra.
To Jose Morales' Nissan Sentra, we did seize it outside his house
Okay.
the morning of 12/3.
And that's what you just advised them on the video?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But how did they come up with an idea? What you want me to do? What you want me to say? Just invent a situation? I don't know. Are we doing that? Break the door there? Get in? You break the door to get in? Why don't you tell us the story if you want to say something? I don't know how you got it. You want me in the house all day? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You wasn't there. When was it? I was at. When? How was he not?
Okay. Now, only in regard to the investigation regarding the death of Christine Holloway, do you know who he was referring to as Hector?
At that point in time, no.
Okay. Subsequent to this, did you or your investigators find out who he was referring to as Hector? Was that Hector Rodriguez?
Yes.
Okay. And what efforts did the Ansonia Police Department take in regard to interviewing Hector Rodriguez as a consequence of the investigation regarding the death of Christine Holloway?
We interviewed her multiple times. I was not the one doing the interview, though.
Okay. But those investigators would have reported to you, correct?
I would say more than likely, but we had a lot of information that was coming in. So there was myself and Lieutenant Williams and maybe even Lieutenant Lynch that were involved in gathering information from everybody.
Sure. Okay. Sir, are you aware of the fact that Mr. Rodriguez was interviewed on December 5th, 2019, which would have been Thursday, 2 days after this video?
That sounds correct. I don't know the exact date.
Okay. And do you recall that it also, investigators also went back on 12/16, which was a Monday, and subsequently interviewed Mr. Hector Rodriguez?
I know we interviewed him multiple times, so I don't know the exact dates of the interviews for.
To be fair for you, you didn't do the interviews, but you're aware that they occurred.
Correct.
Okay. That's fine. Thank you, Chelsea.
I don't know where was it yesterday. I was exactly 24 hours later. How does he not know that? I say I was at work with Hector. But you weren't because you were leaving the house at 1:49. We have him on video leaving the house, and we also.
Matt, you are not being truthful when you advised the family that you had Mr. Morales on video leaving the house. Is that correct?
I don't recall at that point in time. We do have video of his vehicle leaving the house.
No. The question, sir, is you just represented there that the police had video of Mr. Morales leaving the house, not his vehicle, Mr. Morales leaving and there is no video of Mr. Morales leaving the house. Is that correct?
I would say that Mr. Morales walking out of the house or driving away from the house is the same. Is one and the same.
Sir, you tell us here. Is there a video showing Mr. Morales leaving the residence at 105 First Avenue, leaving 6.5 Myrtle Avenue in Ansonia on the morning of Monday, the 1st?
There's a video of Jose Morales' vehicle leaving the
All right,
6.5 Myrtle
The
Avenue.
question is, I'm not asking you about the vehicle. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm just asking you, is there a video that you just represented to the family showing Jose Morales leaving the residence at 6.5 Myrtle Avenue in Ansonia?
If you're asking me if there is a video of him walking out of the house.
Yes, that's the question.
That's what you're asking me?
Yeah.
There is not a video of Jose Morales walking out of the house.
Okay, that's what you had represented to, correct?
No, that's represented that he was leaving the house. I didn't represent that he was walking out of the house.
Okay. Do you have a video of him leaving the house?
I have a video of his vehicle leaving the house.
I get that. I understand it. You understand the difference between the vehicle and Mr. Morales?
I think it's
different things.
argumentative at this point, Your Honor.
I'm just trying to get a straight answer. You can answer. Two different things. One's a video of the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And when's a video of him walking out of the house or leaving the house?
Well, we don't have that. We don't have him walking out of the house. I've said that.
That's the only point. You don't have a video of Mr. Morales walking out of the address at 6.5 Myrtle Avenue, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Or the video, he was there.
Today?
Monday.
What happened?
I'm something I can come up with ideas and give you information that I don't know. That's why you guys ask.
I mean, you can do whatever you want.
There is nothing that I can tell you I don't know. What information you want? Yeah. Obviously something did happen.
Were they in a serious relationship? Were they in a serious relationship? He said it.
Oh, it wasn't a serious relationship.
And they were dating. So he's gonna say you were.
I was at his house.
On Monday.
I was with him.
On Monday.
The weekend.
On Monday. But you just said you were with Hector.
I may have cut that off just a little bit early. I apologize, and I'll proceed into the next couple of frames. But this discussion here is in regard to Jose Morales' location over the weekend, and he's indicating that he was with Hector Rodriguez. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And by the way, I think at one point in the video, you indicated that he was free to leave if he wanted to. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
On Monday. You said I don't remember. I was on Monday.
I was with him the weekend. The weekend.
Why on Monday? Yeah, on Monday.
Listen, you don't have to answer. You can do whatever you want. You leave. And you are putting up a lot of balls.
It's not that I'm out of order.
Yeah,
It's my brain is messed up. I'm not clear about this person.
Okay, I can understand that. You have a lot of stress in your life.
Yeah, I have no job.
Okay, so
I'm broke.
You
I
got-
live with my parents. And my kids.
and you got 3 kids. And you're trying to support the 3 kids.
I can't.
Yes, that's not easy. That's not easy. Yeah, and you should be the one supporting your parents, but you can't right now. That's how hard it is. And you just lost your job a few months ago. I understand all that. You know, that puts people in the wrong set, the wrong mindset. Right? No,
He does. Yeah, he does.
sometimes you don't think clearly about things, right? You know,
No, I FaceTime you from Hector house. Make you believe that I was with him. Did you see how many? Did you see?
Sir, this segment of the video, Mr. Morales is indicating that he FaceTimed his mother from Hector Rodriguez's. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anything in the back of the show, my face on FaceTime. I was making you believe that I was at Christine, but because I didn't want you to think that I was like Frank Hardy.
so what were you FaceTiming with? What phone were you FaceTiming with?
We're actors.
Do you have your phone?
Yeah.
All right, so then you should have Hector's,
No.
you should have Hector's contact.
No. I was FaceTiming with the.
It's not like that here.
Okay. So Mr. Morales indicates in the living room that he was FaceTiming his mother, not from his cell phone, but from the iPad, which was introduced as an exhibit here, correct?
He initially indicated that he was FaceTiming from Hector's cell phone.
Yeah.
And then when I challenged him on it, he changed his mind and said that he
Okay.
was using Isaac's iPad,
Right. And
his
the-
iPad.
And you see is the iPad, right? That's an exhibit. I think it's 180, I think.
156.
Yeah.
Yes, we seized the iPad under a search warrant.
Yeah. Oh, okay, fine. Thank you, Joseph.
It's downstairs. Well, how was he? So he was FaceTiming from the house here.
No, he can get it.
But that's not Hector's number.
No. I was FaceTiming my mom.
With Hector's phone, you said.
No. Not with his phone. With my iPad. But I used an iPad.
Thank you for your assistance. Your Honor, I'm about to go into a whole new area. I don't know if we're going to take a break. or you want-
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just asking. I'm about to go into a whole new area. I don't know if we want to take the morning break now or you want me to continue, whatever's good for you, Your Honor.
I think it's okay to take the break if this is a good time to do that. All right, court's going to take the mandatory 15-minute break for staff. Court's going to stand in recess. Thank you. stipulates the return of overtures. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Attorney Gavin, you may proceed. Thank you.
Hi, Lieutenant.
Hello, Attorney.
We're almost done.
Okay.
Okay. Sir, I just want to follow up in regard to your interaction with Lydia DeJesus and Marcos Garcia. Do you recall going to speak with them on December 18th, 2019 at their home?
If that's a report that I was just looking at, yes.
At the break, I tendered the report. Can I approach?
You may.
But just you use this to refresh your. Would it help you refresh your recollection if you saw the report?
Yes, it would, please.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Take your time.
Okay.
All set.
I'll do the best I can. This was not written by me.
Okay, I understood.
Yep.
Can I have to approach and take that back?
Sure.
Does that refresh your recollection regarding the events of December 18th, 2019, sir?
Somewhat.
Somewhat. Okay. Well, let's just go slow. Do you
Okay.
recall going to the residence at 105 First Avenue with Detective Stephen Adcox and yourself?
Yes.
Right? And you sat at the kitchen table with Lydia Garcia and also her husband, Lydia DeJesus and Marcos Garcia?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, sir, in regard to your investigation into the death of Christine Holloway, what information did you develop regarding PCP usage by Jose Morales?
I'm going to object at this point, Your Honor. It's going to elicit self-serving hearsay. I'd like to be heard outside the presence of the jury, please.
All right, court's going to ask our jury to step out. Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Thank you. Attorney Stein?
Yes, Your Honor. May I avoid your Lieutenant Froelich further just to create the foundation?
Well, your objection is based on,
My objection
he's
is...
saying hearsay?
Well, it's self-serving hearsay. It is my understanding that the information that Attorney Gavin is about to try to elicit would be based upon Lydia DeJesus having telephone conversations with her son from jail, where Mr. Morales would have told Ms. DeJesus, who is now repeating what Mr. Morales would have said to Lieutenant or Sergeant Froelich at the time, as well as Detective Adcox. It is self-serving hearsay.
Okay.
There's no question involving hearsay here. I just asked him what his investigative efforts were involving the use of PCP. And as an officer of the court, I'll represent that his police report indicates that they talked to the parents about Mr. Morales' PCP use. The state is trying to hide the fact that he used PCP, and it's part of the investigation regarding the death of Christine Holloway, framed the right way. It's not calling for a hearsay response.
First of all, the state is not looking to keep PCP out. I think the parties all understand it is the expectation of the parties that Mr. Morales intends to testify in this case. The state is just seeking to preclude self-serving hearsay from being put in front of this jury for the truth of the matter asserted without Mr. Morales putting forward relevant evidence, if he chooses to do so, that on this particular time and this particular date he was doing PCP. What Mr. Morales may have done at any other point earlier in time, whatever time in his life, is not relevant to whether he was doing PCP on or about December the 1st of 2019. So with regard to whatever these people may have told Detective Froelich and whatever follow-up they may have done is not relevant. It's also based upon self-serving hearsay.
I'm not asking him what anyone said. I'm not asking him that. I'm asking him in regard to what his investigation regarding the death of Christine Holloway as it related to the use of PCP.
The question was, what information did you elicit regarding PCP usage? That was the
Sure, Your
question.
Honor.
The question was, what information did you elicit regarding PCP usage?
Elicit from whom?
What information this is from Lydia and Marcos, during the Lydia and Marcos
So that
interview.
would be hearsay, Your Honor. So if Lydia, hypothetically, if Lydia and Marcos, Lydia De Jesus and Marcos Garcia said that Mr. Morales has used PCP amongst other drugs previously in his lifetime, that information, even if they said it, one, it's hearsay. Two, it's not relevant in terms of we are not allowing propensity or should not use propensity type evidence to say simply because a person acted one way at an earlier point in time that they have the propensity to act the same way. That clearly is not contemplated by our rules of evidence.
Okay, I don't even know what the response is at this time because you are preemptively objecting. So why don't we do the proffer outside the presence of the jury so I don't call them back in here and get a response that could, in the end, be stricken. So with respect to that question, please ask the question, Attorney Gavin, and let me see what the response is.
And Your Honor?
Yes.
The officers indicated to Lydia De Jesus and Marcos Garcia regarding the past PCP. It wasn't asking them about PCP, so I think the state's got it backwards there. But
Okay, I just want, at this point, I'd like to hear the answer or the proposed response so that we don't go through this again in front of the jury.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to rephrase or repeat the question for you, okay?
Okay.
In regard to your investigation into the death of Christine Holloway, what information did you develop regarding PCP usage by Jose Morales?
I didn't interview anybody that talked to me about PCP usage, or I don't recall interviewing anybody with PCP usage.
Let me ask you, you're the supervisor, and I know that there was a lot of work being done by a lot of different officers, correct? But they all reported to you. You were running the investigation as the detective sergeant.
I was not running it. I was part of running the program. So I myself and Lieutenant Williams were kind of spearheading it together.
I agree. I'm not quarreling with that. But you were aware that your officers were investigating PCP usage by Jose Morales, correct?
We were investigating a homicide and a missing child.
No. Just answer my question, please. I'm not fighting with you. Would you agree with me or not that your brother and sister officers at the Ansonia Police Department, in regard to the investigation revolving the death of Christine Holloway, explored and investigating PCP usage by Jose Morales?
We didn't explore anything. We just followed the case. So we looked for what was occurring, and we had a homicide that we were investigating. So we did interview people, and we did interview other people for the missing person.
I'm not asking you about missing purpose. I'm asking you about PCP usage, and you're not answering the question. Were you aware, were you not, sir, that part of the investigation involved PCP usage by Jose Morales?
Counselor, I'm not understanding. We're not investigating whether or not he's using PCP. We're investigating whether or not he committed a homicide.
Sir, but
and the
during the
missing
course
child.
of your investigation, did you develop information regarding the use of PCP, yes or no?
PCP did come up in the investigation.
Okay, tell us how it came up in the investigation, that's all.
I did not get the firsthand knowledge of that information.
I'm not asking you that. You're aware of what the investigative efforts were. How was PCP investigated, and what information was compiled as a result of the investigation involving PCP? That's all.
I didn't interview. I did one interview on Jose Morales, and that's all the interview I did. He didn't mention anything about PCP during that interview. I didn't interview anybody else that talked to me, that I can recall, that talked to me about him using PCP.
Sir, I'm not talking about, I'm sorry that we're struggling with this, but I want to be crystal clear. I'm not asking who you interviewed, but you would agree with me that you just told us that PCP usage came up during the course of the investigation, right?
Correct.
Okay, what information came up during the course of the investigation regarding PCP usage?
That it was a possibility of him using PCP.
Okay, and what did you do? Did you go out and interview Hector Rodriguez?
I didn't interview Hector Rodriguez.
Did the Ansonia Police Department go back and interview Hector Rodriguez?
We interviewed Hector Rodriguez because he was the alibi for the weekend of the homicide.
Okay, and did the officers indicate to you when they went out on Thursday, December 5th, when they interviewed him, that he indicated that they were using PCP?
I'm sorry, repeat that again?
When the officers went out to interview Rodriguez on December 5th, after they interviewed him, did they advise you in their report that he indicated that Morales and him were using PCP over the weekend?
Obviously the court would note that this would be objectionable. I mean, I'm allowing it for the offer.
I'm just trying to figure out where we're going with this, counsel.
Right.
Outside the presence of the jury, I'm allowing the proffer.
Okay. Can you repeat the question again, please?
You were aware as the supervisor that your officers when they interviewed Hector Rodriguez, and he indicated that he and Morales had used PCP that weekend.
I don't know if he did that during that interview.
You don't know that Hector Rodriguez indicated to the officers that he had utilized PCP?
Well, you specifically stated a date.
I'm sorry?
You specifically stated a date of the interview,
Okay.
right? So I don't know if that's the interview. He said something to
I'll
it.
withdraw the date.
Okay.
I'll withdraw the date. Is there any doubt that Rodriguez indicated that Jose Morales and him were using PCP?
I don't remember what he actually said, but I know there was some kind of drug conversation between Hector and our officers.
Okay. Regarding PCP usage?
Probably, but I'm not 100% sure because I don't have the report in front of me, and I'm commenting on something that I didn't do.
Do you recall directing other officers under your supervision to investigate the history of Jose Morales' drug usage with PCP?
We looked into the past history of
Okay.
Jose Morales' criminal history.
Okay.
That wasn't the question. The
Okay.
question was, do you remember directing other officers to look into Jose Morales' past history of PCP?
I can't tell you what I actually directed them to do. So if you're asking me if I definitely, that on such and such a date, I told them to go look and see if Jose Morales did PCP somewhere else. The likelihood of me saying that is negative, but me telling them I need you to go find out what you know about Jose Morales, that's 100% would be true.
Let me make this easy for you. I'm not trying to confuse you here. You went on the 18th. Here's the report. You just reviewed it at the break, right? And in the report, you went to his parents and you said, we learned that Jose had a problem with drug use. It's PCP, correct?
I don't know what the report says, but the
let
report
me-
does mention something about PCP.
May I just approach?
Certainly.
Okay.
Okay. Does that refresh your recollection regarding whether or not you had indicated during the course of the discussions with Mr. Jesus and Mr. Garcia regarding Jose Morales' past PCP use?
All right. So, attorney, to be honest with you, I don't recall this interview because I was not the primary guy. I can read what's written in the report.
Okay. Why don't you
So-
read what's written in the report?
You want me to read it out loud?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Okay. Was learned was that Jose had a problem with using PCP, and that his drug use appeared to get him in trouble with the police.
Okay. Was that discussed with his parents, his PCP use?
The report says it was.
Right. And by the way, who signed off on the report?
I did.
You did, right?
Yep.
Okay. So there's no doubt here that the Ansonia Police Department, as a consequence of their investigation regarding the death of Christine Holloway, went ahead and investigated Jose Morales' PCP use.
We were looking at all assets of the crime.
I know, but you're not answering the question.
But we didn't. We weren't specifically going to look to see if Jose Morales. We weren't arresting him on PCP. We weren't arresting him on any drug use.
Okay,
So
the
our
question was, you were investigating him relevant to his PCP use at some point in time during this investigation. That calls for a yes or no.
yes.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
Your Honor, can I just explore just a couple of questions there? Just-
Counsel, we're going to deal with this on the record. I'm going to allow questions where you can make your objections. I'll make my
I
rulings.
think before the court rules respectfully, I think that further information, because I have case law, which I would like to provide, because I
Certainly.
think that there are missing information. This is a brief that was prepared for this issue, Your Honor. Where Attorney Gavin, for whatever reason, I'm not sure, if the question were to ask, Lieutenant, did you send out an information to other law enforcement agencies asking for any records that they had on Jose Morales?
Yes.
Did you receive police reports back from other law enforcement agencies where Mr. Morales' name was mentioned in police reports?
Yes.
And did some of those police reports, some of them which were decades old, provide information from other police reports where Mr. Morales' name was mentioned as having had an arrest and PCP came up in those reports?
Yes.
So again, Your Honor, I mean, so in terms of what is available to law enforcement is now we're adding another layer of hearsay in terms of the information that's been made available through law enforcement agencies in terms of from now police reports from decade-old police investigations and the relevancy that any of that has as to whether in December of 2019 Jose Morales was on PCP. First, so the state's claim is going to be relevance. I have put forward State versus Hernandez, 91 Con App 169. I provided a copy of that case to the court as well as to Attorney Gavin. In terms of this type of material going before a jury, in Hernandez, we have information in hospital records that was disallowed on an issue of relevancy from earlier in the same day, just because on an earlier occasion that someone may have done a drug does not necessarily mean that on this occasion they did a drug. So to allow this to come in at this point, especially with this many layers of hearsay, to show the purportedly, not for truth, but just to show the effect on the hearer, it is so highly prejudicial. If Mr. Morales is going to put information before this jury regarding PCP usage, if he elects his right to put that information in, then it is subject to cross-examination for its truth at that point. But to allow it any other way is highly prejudicial, because the state can't cross-examine the multiple layers of hearsay that are involved in this.
Attorney Gavin, are we talking about PCP usage that day, that weekend? What are we talking about?
Just whatever, and I'm not asking about.
What is the relevance of that then?
The relevance is that he indicated to the police officers that he had used PCP, that they investigated it and confirmed it. And I'm not.
That he had used PCP that weekend? Is
Yes.
that what you're saying? I didn't hear that yet in any part of this cross-examination.
I didn't get there, but I'm not.
Well, I can't, there's no relevance until we get there. So again, we're talking about the proper foundation.
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
But I'm not asking him what's in remote police reports. I don't know where the state is coming up with this.
But he is, because that's the basis for knowledge. This is the connection, Your Honor. The information that he's eliciting, meaning when he says in this statement, or rather this report that this man didn't write, that is written by another officer, he signs it as that person's supervisor, where the statement that was that he was asked to refresh himself from was regard to that what was learned was that Jose had a problem using drugs. That statement there that Mr. Gavin wants so desperately in front of this jury is coming from these police reports. That's their only basis of knowledge. To this point in time, Jose Morales has not ever said he's used PCP.
He hasn't testified yet.
Well, I'm saying at the point of where they're asking this witness to go right now, this report is December the 12th. I'm sorry, December 18th is when this incident report is written. Mr. Morales has never said, up until this moment in time, anything about PCP.
Okay. So, Attorney Gavin, if the knowledge is learned from hearsay, what is your response to that?
It's not hearsay. It's part of the overall investigation.
Well, an overall investigation can contain hearsay. So if a response is based on hearsay, what do you have a response to that claim that it is hearsay? Let's start with that.
The fact that I'm asking you, the investigation involved investigating the use of PCP is not hearsay. I'm not asking what anyone told me. His report indicates that they went ahead and they had gone back, and he's the supervisor that signed off on the report. He went back and the officers went and conducted an investigation regarding past PCP use.
Okay, Attorney Gavin, the state is indicating that the defendant's past history of PCP use is irrelevant here. Do you have a response to that? What is the relevancy of past PCP use?
The investigation showed past PCP use, which is relevant to Mr. Morales using PCP on Saturday night into Sunday morning. So it is relevant. He can't just out of the blue take the stand and say, oh, by the way, I was using PCP or I used alcohol. This drug use has been corroborated by the investigating supervisor in the past.
Attorney Stein?
Yes, Your Honor. Again, this is propensity evidence, and we know that propensity evidence is not permitted by our rules of evidence with regard to this type of purpose, right? That a person on a previous point in time acted the same way on a subsequent date. Character evidence, propensity evidence, not for this purpose, especially based upon the way that these officers, the multiple layers of hearsay. If Mr. Morales wants to put in his history, that information will go in front of the jury potentially. We may have the same argument at that point too, but at least it's subject to cross-examination at that point. Right now, you have intricate layers of hearsay learned from reports that are decades, some of them decades old. And Attorney Gavin is trying to take through some type of a claim that this comes in through the sufficiency of a police investigation, a type of claim, to take what's clearly prejudicial hearsay, not relevant. And I would point out, much the same way, we had a discussion off the record as to another piece of evidence regarding text messages from 2017, where the court made a ruling with regard to the irrelevancy of text messages from only 2 years before the homicide. We have police reports that contain hearsay decades old for being offered for propensity purposes, and I believe that they are not admissible and should not be admissible for the purpose that Attorney Gavin is trying to offer.
I'll tell you, Attorney Gavin, you did propose it to seem like this was PCP usage taking place during the time of the period in question.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so the state is now telling me that we're talking about PCP usage, very dated, so historical PCP usage.
Yes, Your Honor.
What would be the relevancy of that?
The state just represented that was the first time that PCP usage had come up. And I will represent, and I'll show the officer, as an officer of the court, that this officer went to Morales' interview at the New Haven Correction Center on December 12th. And if I may, Your Honor, this shows the relevancy, and it's not remote in any way, shape, or form. He was there, they recorded the interview, Morales was advised that Rodriguez told investigators he and Morales smoked PCP together the weekend. Morales had claimed he was at Rodriguez's house, which is 1129. Morales confirmed that he did smoke dust PCP with Rodriguez. Okay, so he was there. He was there. He went and picked up, and I'll show you the report. You're nodding your head that you weren't there. I'll show you the report.
Okay, but Attorney Gavin, so we still have hearsay. We have self-serving hearsay as to Mr. Morales' statement. We have hearsay regarding what Rodriguez stated. The fact that the officer was there doesn't get you over the hearsay hurdle yet. Okay, I'm not over the hearsay hurdle. First of all, it's a self-serving statement made by the defendant. There's a difference between being offered by the party opponent. So I don't have the admission being offered by the party opponent. I have the defendant trying to enter into evidence through sort of a back door through this witness, the fact that Hector Rodriguez stated something about PCP usage, and then Jose Morales acknowledged that outside of this courtroom. So the defendant does have the opportunity to control his own defense. He has the opportunity to testify or choose not to testify, and we'll get into that at a later time. But right now, I'm dealing with hearsay. So right now, the basis of the response appears to be to the court to be that of a hearsay substance, so a hearsay foundation. So I understand the state's issue with the hearsay. On top of that, the state was indicating that some of these reports that are being referred to, which I'm not privy to because they're not in evidence, go back and they're extremely dated about a prior PCP use back in time, not concerning the time period in question here, which is that weekend.
History other than this weekend, so that cures that issue.
But will it may cure the relevancy issue, but it certainly doesn't cure the hearsay issue.
The question will continue to be as offered. What did your investigation show regarding PCP usage? That's all. It's not a hearsay question. It's not asking for him to say somebody said this or somebody said that. Regarding the weekend in question. Not remote, regarding...
But his response, his knowledge is based upon hearsay. That's self-serving hearsay statement and the hearsay of Rodriguez. So unless there's some sort of exception to hearsay, or you're not claiming it for the truth of the matter, and this officer somehow, based on that hearsay, did something else in furtherance of this investigation, then I don't see how you're getting around the hearsay aspect of the state's claims outside of the relevancy, even if you take out the historical nature of the PCPs.
And Your Honor, then it's offered for the effect of the hearing because they continued the investigation regarding the PCP issue.
Okay, that has not been established yet.
Right.
Okay, so without using the term PCP, and you don't have to do this now, and I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but I haven't heard anything yet that as a result of this investigation, there was further investigation, and that investigation included investigation into PCP use. That hasn't come out yet through this witness. So I don't know if there was any effect on this witness regarding additional investigation into the death of Christine Holloway as a result of those particular statements. I don't know what its effect on this witness was. Attorney Stein?
Yes, and anything further is just going to lead us back into the circle that I've already created. The information that they have gathered, whatever investigatory action they took, was to either obtain reports or to speak to people with regard to this issue. So again, we are circling back.
Okay, counsel, if the excuse me, if the officers, based on hearsay, conducted additional investigation There was based on what was determined to be that hearsay, then there is an effect on the listener, and it goes to relevant issues in this case. The problem is I haven't heard that yet. So it doesn't go full circle back to your issue.
But ultimately, if his testimony is that based upon whatever we heard, we went out and conducted an investigation and obtained police reports or spoke to additional individuals,
Okay?
then that would be their statement, but not the contents of what those things are.
Exactly.
Very good.
I'm not asking what other people told.
I understand, but I just want to make sure that I'm clear. We have two issues here that have been raised by the state outside the presence of the jury here, relevancy as well as hearsay, okay? If we get to the relevancy, because we take out any information, Attorney Gavin, that you had originally wanted to allude to regarding prior PCP use, and the questions are formulated that way, then the relevancy issue goes away. If we get there, now we're dealing with knowledge that is based on hearsay, self-serving statements, as well as Hector Rodriguez's statements. There has to be some sort of way for the court to accept that into evidence. You have claimed the effect on the listener. In order for the court to get there, there has to be the proper foundation that this particular witness relied on it, or somehow this witness's conduct or acts in the investigation or whatnot were as the result of or affected by those hearsay statements. And that cannot include additional hearsay statements in that response, which would have to have an independent hearsay exception or claim by you, as you're doing now, that you're not offering it for hearsay, you're not offering it for the truth of the matter.
And the state's claim would also include that based in the question, to put PCP in the question is inputting that hearsay into the question for the purposes of eliciting those responses. So again, this is, if he's going to ask, based upon your conversation with Marcos and Lydia, did you take further investigatory actions? Yes, we obtained police reports or whatever, or spoke to additional people. Then that gets us apparently over this hurdle.
Your Honor, I know it's 5-1. Can I have 1 minute with this officer just to clear this up?
If you'd like a proffer, I will always allow you the opportunity to provide a proffer. Go ahead, Attorney Gavin.
Can I approach the lieutenant, please?
Certainly.
Lieutenant, I'm going to show you what is been identified as a police report dated January 4, 2020, regarding the interview of Morales on 12/12/2019. Is this my copy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And can you just indicate on the second page, it indicates that Detective Sergeant Froelich, that's you, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Detective Trouser, correct?
Yes.
And Stephen Adcox went to the FBI in New Haven,
Yes.
okay, to obtain recording devices, correct?
Yes.
For the interview of Jose Morales on 12/12,
Correct.
right? And then the report indicates that Ansonia Police Department...
Obviously, we're reading from a document that's not evidence.
Right, we won't do, obviously, we can't do that.
Just at the property, right?
Go ahead.
And then he indicates the above Ansonia Police Departments, you, Froelich, and Adcox, the above Ansonia Police Department personnel went to the New Haven Correctional Center. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, does that refresh your recollection when
Yes.
you went there?
Yes.
You did, right?
I wasn't part of the interview.
No, just asking you
Yeah.
whether you went there. So
Yes.
That's okay.
Yes.
Now, just turn the page for me, okay? And the interview was recorded, correct?
Yes.
And you listened in on the interview as it was occurring?
No.
You did not?
No, I could not.
Why?
It was something wrong with the. I think it was coming in and out. I don't think it wasn't even working.
That's
Yeah.
fine. So you couldn't hear the interview. Okay. In the report that Detective Adcox authored regarding the interview of 12/12, was that signed off by you, Detective Sergeant James Froelich, as the supervisor?
Yes.
And if you could just read this out loud, starting with I advise.
This is not my report.
This is Adcox's
Yep.
report.
Yep. So I, meaning Detective Adcox,
Yes, sir.
advised Morales that we spoke with his friend Hector Rodriguez. Morales advised that Rodriguez told the investigators that he and Morales smoked PCP together the weekend that Morales had claimed that he in Rodriguez's house. He was at Rodriguez's house the weekend of 11/29/19.
Yep. Go ahead. Continue.
Morales confirmed that he did smoke PCP with everything. He did smoke PCP with Rodriguez.
Go ahead.
Morales stated that.
I'm going to, Your Honor, to continue to read even. I mean,
Okay, so we're not going to be able to read into evidence.
Right.
Obviously, anything from a report, not in evidence.
Agreed.
But I still haven't heard a foundation as to how the officer was affected by this hearsay, because this is clearly hearsay and self-serving statements.
The report indicates that Morales confirmed that he did smoke dust PCP with Rodriguez. Do you recall that? In the report?
Well, again,
That's what the report
That's
says.
what the report says. Okay.
and we're still dealing with self-serving hearsay. So
If I could just finish my
Go ahead.
examination, I'm almost done.
Well, understanding you would not be able to do that in front of a jury because you're reading from a report, not an evidence.
Absolutely agreed. I would never try to do that. But if I may just go back. So you told us that you didn't know anything about PCP usage, but you know now from...
No, I didn't.
Just 1 second. Let me ask the question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I won't step on your answer.
Sure.
You know now that on December 12th, Detective Adcox and you went to the correctional facility and Morales had admitted that he had used PCP that weekend, correct?
I did go to the corrections facility,
Yep.
and in Detective Adcox's report, he writes that, correct.
Okay, about PCP. Now, here's the $64 question.
Mm-hmm.
What investigative efforts did you or other brothers and sister officers of Ansonia PD take once you learned about the use of PCP?
So, again, I don't know, I don't recall me telling anybody to investigate if he did PCP. We were investigating a homicide and a missing person. So, did I tell them I want you to go find out about PCP? I don't believe I would do that because we're investigating these other two cases. We're not trying to charge them with a crime for PCP. So
Was
it's
it
hard.
relevant to the investigation?
Was it relevant? It came up in the investigation.
That's all we're trying to establish here.
Mm-hmm.
As a consequence of the use of PCP, you went out and interviewed other witnesses, like Rodriguez, correct?
We interviewed Rodriguez because he was an alibi for Jose
But
Morales.
there was discussion regarding PCP.
Did
This is
Jose?
argumentative at this point, Your Honor. I think the issues have been clearly
All right,
established.
we're going to go into break at this point in time. We are encroaching on our lunch hour. I'll see counsel in chambers. Court stands in recess until 2 p.m. My bad.
I'm going to ask this last blanket question. Was there anything that you learned through other brother or sisters officers during the course of the investigation in regard to the death of Christine Holloway that had to do with the use of PCP that affected how the investigation continued?
Let me hear the
Yes,
answer.
I'm just saying, I would interpose my objection, but I know the court wants to.
So, PCP did come up during the investigation, but it didn't affect the way we investigated the homicide or the missing child. So, through the investigation of the homicide and the missing child, that information was brought up to one of the officers.
Okay. And just last one, I'm going to sit down. What information was it that you learned regarding PCP?
Again, Your Honor, so I'm going to note it. I anticipate he's going to say that
Well,
Hector.
just let him testify.
Go ahead, you can answer. Just for purposes of the proffer, you can answer. I'll hear from the state, and then we're going to move on and bring the jury in.
That Jose said he used PCP, that Hector said he used PCP, and there may have been some other history of PCP.
Okay. Thank you. I have no other questions. I'm ready to proceed.
I'll hear from the state.
Right, and all of what you said, so you was told by Hector Rodriguez.
I was not told by Hector through the.
Other officers,
Yeah.
I understand. Other officers were told by Hector Rodriguez. Other officers were told by Jose Morales. And then in the course of the investigation, your department obtained police reports from other agencies, some over a decade old, and that other witnesses were spoken to as part of the general investigation into the background and life of Mr. Morales by other officers.
That is correct.
I'm ready to proceed, Your Honor.
All right, I don't believe we did this on the record, but counsel, you at one point, I believe, wanted to be heard about the use of PCP in the question.
Yes, Your Honor. So again, my objections still continue to run. They still continue to stand. There is no evidence in this case for the truth with regard to the PCP, any PCP usage. So anything that comes in is either hearsay, it is a self-serving hearsay if it's coming from Mr. Morales. It is contained. There's a relevancy issue with regard to documents that were obtained about a previous PCP type of claims or police interactions where I made a relevancy claim in regard to, again, any other witness as part of general background information on Mr. Morales who may have brought that up. Again, same continuing, that is all hearsay. Quite simply, if Mr. Gavin thinks any of these are relevant, he has the names of all witnesses that provided these statements and could otherwise attempt to be bringing them into court rather than trying to put it in at this remote level through this witness.
Okay. So before the jury comes out, I am going to make a partial ruling, and that ruling is going to be based on the fact that PCP has not been introduced into the evidence, based on the proffer that included that the witnesses' answers are based on hearsay including self-serving statements of the defendant, statements of Hector Rodriguez and other officers. Also based on the fact that nothing during the proffer led this court to believe that the answers or responses that were relayed to him arising out of those interviews had any effect on this officer in terms of a hearsay exception or a non-hearsay issue, meaning effect on the listener. And also weighing the probative value versus the prejudicial value and the relevancy. Court will admit that PCP use, I am assuming, is going to be relevant to the defendant's position, as I've been told. However, we don't have any evidence of that as of this point. So I understand the argued relevance. However, I also understand the state's position that having that come in through hearsay and self-serving statements by the defendant without any hearsay exception and without any reliance or effect on the listener, which would render it sort of the subject of non-hearsay, it is extremely prejudicial to the state to be introduced to the jury through the questioning process of the defense attorney. So I am going to order the defense attorney in the continued question of this particular witness to refrain from using the word PCP. Court has no evidence before it as of yet that there was any PCP use or that PCP has been an integral or part of this investigation. The only thing I have is a proffer. That proffer relies on not only hearsay and self-serving statements, it also relies on basically the reading of a report that will not be admissible into evidence and has no independent recollection, or the witness had no independent recollection as far as the court is concerned regarding any of those responses or those actions taken, aside from signing off on this supposed report. This report is not in evidence. So keeping that in mind, I will allow you to continue to cross-examine the witness. If appropriate foundation is somehow laid, I will hear it at that time. Otherwise, I think the partial ruling at this point to keep PCP directly out of the questions until it is actually introduced into the evidence by a witness, I think I've made myself clear on that. Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so bring the jury in, please. I'll also add before the jury comes in that the defense will have an opportunity to develop its case through testimony and witnesses as it so chooses. You may be seated. Thank you. All right, thank you. If counsel would stipulate to the return of our jurors.
Stipulate, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I know we took an extended recess. My apologies. We're back, ready to proceed with evidence. Attorney Gavin. Thank you.
Hi, Lieutenant Froelich. I want to take you through just a couple points, and some may be repetitive from this morning. I hope they're not. Your title back in December of 2019 was Detective Sergeant, correct?
That's correct.
And the other detectives that were in the Detective Bureau of the Ansonia PD, they would have reported to you as a supervisor, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you had supervisors as well, correct?
Yes.
All right, and those detectives would have provided you with information depending on what their responsibility was at any certain point in the investigation. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, I'm going to just go through some dates with you, and if you need your recollection refreshed at any time, just let me know. Am I correct that officers were dispatched to Mr. Hector Rodriguez's apartment on Thursday, December 5th?
I don't recall.
Would it help if you took a look at your police report that you
My
signed
police
off,
report?
that you signed off as a supervisor, sir? Would it
Okay.
help to refresh your recollection?
Sure.
Okay, may I approach, Your Honor?
Sorry.
This is an interview with Hector Rodriguez.
Right, on December 5th.
Yes.
Okay, all right, take that back. And just so we're clear for the record, when a investigating officer, specifically in this case, would go ahead and do some work, they would write a report, and then it would be submitted to you as the supervisor for your signature. Is that fair?
That's correct.
Okay, and that was done in this case, correct?
Correct.
Okay, now, so that's December 5th. That's over at Hector Rodriguez's. Then on December 11th, 2019, were you involved with Lydia DeJesus going to the New Haven Correctional Facility?
I may have.
Okay, and do you recall what your role was in that regard?
To go to the facility?
Yeah,
To go to the facility.
yeah. Just tell us what you did at that time.
I went to the facility.
Okay, where Mr. Morales was held.
Yes, if that's where he was. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and his mom went in and was and spoke with him, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you were there. I just want to make sure.
Yes, I wasn't present for the conversation back and forth.
Right, you didn't go into the interview room, but you had coordinated that she would go in and speak to her son.
I don't know if I coordinated it, but that happened.
That happened.
Yes,
Okay, and
yes.
it was recorded, correct?
Yes.
And what was the purpose to have the conversation between Mr. Morales and his mother recorded?
What was the purpose of it? So we would have it because we have to record all interviews.
As part of your investigation?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
And Lydia DeJesus cooperated with you, and she went in and spoke to her son,
Correct.
right? And
Yep.
and you weren't in the interview room, I understand that,
Correct.
okay? Right? Agreed? Okay. And then on 12/12, did you and Detective Trausser and Detective Adcox then go to the New Haven Correctional Center to interview Mr. Morales?
We went there, and Detective Adcox interviewed him.
Okay, all right, and you recall that 12/12
Yes.
visit, right? Okay, and again, Mr. Morales was brought into an interview room, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, right, and you weren't in the interview room?
Correct.
All right, okay, you were outside the interview room someplace?
Yes.
Right, and it's standard practice to go ahead and sign a notice of rights form, correct?
Objection if he, again, if he wasn't in the interview, I'm not sure quite.
The question is not whether he was in the interview room. I asked him whether that was the standard practice when they interview somebody.
Overruled, if you know the
You
answer.
can answer.
So standard practice, the person's in custody and we're interviewing them, yes, then we read in the rights.
Right. The notice of rights form, correct?
Yes,
Right,
notice of
that-
rights form.
Right, that they voluntarily, they are giving a statement and they're free to leave at any time.
Is that a question? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what the notice of rights form says, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Morales provided an interview at that time on 12/12.
That is correct.
Okay, great. And then it looks like the next event was, on 12/15, do you recall whether Lydia DeJesus had contacted you by phone?
This is the phone conversation we had, me and her.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I don't want you to tell us what Lydia DeJesus said. That's hearsay. But can you tell us what the purpose of the phone conversation was? If you
Do you have my report? So
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I approach, Your Honor?
Would it refresh your recollection?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sure you may, thank you.
Anytime you need your recollection refreshed, just let me know and I'd be happy to share the report with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection? Thank you. Okay. As a consequence of the phone call with Lydia DeJesus, what, if anything, did the Ansonia Police do in their investigative efforts?
I had someone write a report on it.
You had someone write the report that just refreshed your recollection?
Yes.
Okay. I'll show it to you, but
Yeah.
you wrote the report.
I wrote the report saying I received the phone call.
Okay.
And then she provided me with stuff, which someone else wrote a report on.
Somebody else wrote a report regarding your conversation with Ms. DeJesus?
Yes, she provided me 2 photos, it says on there, correct?
Okay. And you didn't prepare a report in that regard?
I prepared a report on what you have in front of you.
Right. I'm sorry. I don't mean to mince words. You wrote a report that you had a phone conversation with Lydia DeJesus.
Correct.
And then I thought you testified somebody else wrote a report about some photographs that were presented.
That's what that report says, correct?
Okay. Yeah. I don't want to put the words in your mouth.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. That's what happened. Okay. And then on 12/16, do you recall that Detective Adcox and Special Agent Dave Dillon from the FBI went to Mr. Rodriguez's apartment in New Haven?
I don't know the date of when they went there.
Would it help if refresh your recollection? May I approach, Your Honor? Does that refresh your recollection that that's when Detective Adcox and Dave Dillon went to Hector Rodriguez's apartment in New Haven on 12/16?
Yes.
Okay, right. You recall that now?
I recall that's the date that's written on the report, yes.
Right. You didn't go?
I did not go.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay. And, sir, as the supervisor, what steps did the Ansonia Police Department take subsequent to the interview of Mr. Rodriguez by Detective Adcox and Special Agent Dillon?
What do you mean, what steps do we take?
Did you learn anything during the course of the interview that caused you to assign the detectives to do follow-up work?
Yes.
Okay, and tell us what follow-up work was.
I would have to, that's a 12-page report, so I'd have to relook at that 12-page report. But, I mean, we re-interviewed Jose Morales a few times. I think a total of, throughout this investigation, 5 times we interviewed him. We did other follow-ups on other witnesses. We did multiple search warrants. We probably did 25-plus search warrants on this case.
Sir, I'm just asking you in regard to what information you would have received based on Detective Adcox and Dillon's interview of Hector Rodriguez, not everything that you did after that.
Okay.
Okay, so Adcox and Dave Dillon went. They interviewed Mr. Rodriguez for the second time, correct? Prepared a report, submitted it back to you for your signature, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Because all the detectives had to tell you what they were doing in regard to their investigative roles.
So I would get a partial understanding of what they would do.
Okay.
So the reports weren't done immediately with what were happening because we were moving so quickly with other stuff. So that report, I can tell you when that report was written. It probably wasn't written right at that time of the. So I was getting tidbits of information as we move forward in the investigation.
Let me just make sure that we're clear. The officers were out doing all different investigations and different roles in the investigation, correct?
Yes.
And you were the supervisor, and they would come back to you, and they would say, Detective Sergeant, I did this, and I'm going to follow up over here, or I did that, or it was a dead end.
Most of the time that would occur, yes.
Yeah, you would generally know what the other officers were doing because you were their supervisor.
I would have a brief understanding of it, yes. I don't have details. So if you have like a specific question about what you're looking for, I'd be more than willing to answer it.
Sure. No, I understand. But the point is that the investigators were going ahead and providing you with information in regard to what they were doing and what their investigation showed.
Correct.
Okay. No problem there. Now, I think you had testified that after Dillon and Adcox went to Hector Rodriguez, that there was another interview of Mr. Morales. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And just tell us in your own words, was that done up at Whaley Avenue?
I don't recall where it was done.
Would it help if you refresh your recollection with the report?
Well, with Detective Adcox's report.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When I don't want to confuse the record. I know that you didn't author the reports, but you signed off on the reports as the supervisor. So I'm not suggesting that you authored any of these reports, okay? Other than the one we just went through that you wrote, okay? All right, may I approach, would it refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. Are you okay?
I'm sorry, Attorney. You just asked me
Yeah.
where the location was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. That was up at New Haven Correctional, right?
Correct.
On the 17th.
Correct.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Based on the information that the investigating officers received on the 17th, what further investigative steps did you take in regard to investigating the death of Christine Holloway?
I don't recall if I took any direct steps. We continued the investigation. We had another 1 or 2 interviews with Jose, and we followed up with individuals that we needed to follow up with.
Do you recall the following day on the 18th that you and Detective Froelich then went back to the Morales household at 105 First Avenue to speak with Lydia DeJesus and Marcos Garcia?
I recall that report you showed me before.
Okay,
Yes.
so you don't need to, you would agree with me that that was on the 18th that you
Yes.
two went, okay? And based on your discussions with Ms. DeJesus and Mr. Marcos Garcia, what investigative steps did you take further in the investigation of the death of Christine Holloway?
We probably maybe applied for some more search warrants. I don't know the time period of when everything occurred because I don't have a time period of a timeline in front of me.
Okay. If you're not sure, I don't want to put words in your mouth. So if you're not sure what investigative steps you took as a result of your discussions with Ms. DeJesus and Mr. Garcia, it's okay for you to tell us that.
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Fine. And just 2 last questions for you. Do you recall that Detective Adcox would have went up to the Cheshire Correction Facility on December 23rd, 2019 to again re-interview Mr. Morales?
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't go, correct?
Correct.
And you weren't in the interview room?
Correct.
Okay. And after that, based on the information that he received, I take it he would have reported back to you?
I would assume so, but I don't know.
You don't recall?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay. All right. And then did Adcox also go up to the Cheshire Correction Facility on January 21st 2020, which would have been the following year.
Yes.
Okay, and he interviewed Mr. Morales,
Yes.
right? And based on the interview and the information that was received there, what steps, if any, did you take in regard to the investigation regarding the death of Christine Holloway?
We follow up to whatever he may have gotten from Jose Morales that day.
And as you sit here right now, I take it you don't recall exactly what that was, what that information was from the interview.
I mean, if there's a direct question, maybe you can refresh my memory. Do you have a direct question?
I can show you his interview report if you want, if that would refresh your
It's
memory.
probably like 12, 13 pages.
No, this one's only 3.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to?
For the 21st?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Your Honor, may I approach the witness? This would refresh your recollection.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
My objection, please, Your Honor, to any answer that may contain hearsay, self-serving hearsay.
Thank you. So, sir, just wrap this up. Detective Adcox went up to the Cheshire Correctional Facility to, again, interview Mr. Morales at that point, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and you didn't go, correct?
Correct.
Right, and you didn't participate in the interview?
That is correct.
Okay, and then Detective Adcox would have written a report, and you would have signed off on that report at some point,
That is correct.
right? Okay, and I take it he, as you said, he would have advised you in regard to what was the result of his interview with Mr. Morales?
Yes, me or Lieutenant Williams.
Okay, and again, that would have been a voluntary interview.
With Jose Morales?
With Jose
Yes.
Morales? Yes.
Yep.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no other questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, you may sit down. Thank you.
Okay, buddy.
Detective Richard Esposito, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Just put them on and get out of here for now. I'm going to give you this, but... Thank you.
Yeah, actually, you have a number.
Good afternoon. You may step up into the witness stand. Please remain standing. Madam Clerk over here is going to put you under oath. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please state your full name, spelling your last name, and state your badge number.
You may be seated. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Detective Esposito.
Good afternoon.
Can you tell us who are you employed by?
City of Ansonia, Ansonia Police Department.
I'm sorry, I'm going to need you to sit forward a little bit. That microphone does a poor job of amplifying. So
Sure.
if you can keep your voice up, please. I'm sorry, who are you employed by?
City of Ansonia, Ansonia Police Department.
How long have you been a member of the City of Ansonia Police Department?
This June will be 19 years.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background, your training, and your experience?
Yeah, I've been employed just under 19 years. I've been a detective for 9 of those years. I investigate criminal crimes that usually get transferred to us by the Patrol Division. We assist on major cases, I investigate a lot of sexual assault cases, SVU type of cases, adult and child, and all types of street crime incidents.
I want to call your attention to the time frame of December of 2019. Were you employed by the city of Ansonia on that date?
Yes, I was.
And I want to call your attention specifically to the weekend of December the 1st and 2nd of, well, it would have been Sunday, December 1st into Monday, December 2nd of 2019. Do you remember those dates?
Yes.
And with regard to an investigation that was commenced at 6.5 Myrtle Avenue, were you involved in that investigation?
I was, yes.
And with regard to that investigation, did you perform withdrawn? How many detectives were in the Ansonia Detective Division approximately in that time frame of December 2019?
I think there might have been 5 of us.
Okay. And was it fair to say that all available detectives were called in with regard to this this incident the weekend of December the 1st of 2019?
Yes, that is fair.
And did you all have many various responsibilities?
Yes.
Including yourself?
Yes.
I want to sort of go past the initial part of whatever it is that you did, but was it fair to say that you were the evidence officer?
One of, yes.
So that evidence that was collected would ultimately get logged into evidence through you?
Yes,
Specifically, and do you recall, did you also attend an autopsy?
I did.
And did you also participate, well, withdraw. With regard to 6.5 Myrtle Ave, was there a point in time that after the Ansonia Police Department initially conducted whatever investigation that they were conducting there, that you sought legal authority to return to the property to conduct a further investigation?
Yes.
And do you recall the date that happened?
Going by memory, December 6th or 5th?
Did you prepare a report with regard to the activities that you were engaged in on that day?
I did, yes.
And if you had an opportunity to review your report, would it refresh your recollection?
Yes, it would.
May I press the witness, Your Honor?
You may, Attorney Stein.
Okay, yes.
Have you refreshed your recollection?
Yes, I have.
And what was the date that you returned to the property?
December the 11th, 2019.
And with regard to the property, what was your purpose in going there?
Going there to assist investigators with trying to obtain any other additional evidence that might still remain at that scene.
And was there a particular place that you were focusing on?
Yes, that's true, yes.
And what were you focusing on?
I focused my direction to underneath the sink of the home, inside the kitchenette area of the apartment, and the drain trap of the garbage disposal.
Showing you has been marked States 35 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me whether you generally recognize what this is?
Yes, this is the kitchen area of 6.5 Myrtle Avenue, Ansonia.
And you started to tell us you were concentrating on what part of this kitchen?
Under the sink area, to the left side of the photo.
Using my highlighter, am I pointing at the area of the photograph with the highlighter?
Yes, that cabinetry underneath the sink, yes.
Record reflects, Your Honor, in States 35, left side of the photograph, a red sink, brown cabinet with child lock on it. My highlighter is pointing at that area of the photograph.
Thank you.
And did you open up that cabinet?
Yes, I did.
And I want to show you what's been previously marked as State 78 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me whether you generally recognize what this is?
Yes, that's the underneath the sink with all sorts of cleaning supplies that were under there.
And when you went into this area, were all these cleaning supplies still in there like this?
Yes, I had to remove it.
And what is it that you did with all these supplies?
I moved them out of the way so I could access underneath the sink.
And I'm going to zoom in. What was it that you were trying to access underneath the sink?
I was trying to access the drain pipe from the sink that connects to the garbage disposal unit.
I'm going to zoom in on this portion of the photograph and place my highlighter again on the photograph. Are we talking about, is it that area of the sink?
That is one of the areas, yes.
Okay. And can you just generally describe, so, I'm sorry, what was it that you were focusing in on?
So the pipe that connects from the sink underneath to the garbage disposal unit underneath the sink, I disassembled that, terminated power to the unit, disassembled that, looking for additional evidence that may have been in there.
Okay, so let's just take it one step at a time. We have a sink that sits on top of the counter, correct?
Correct.
When you open the cabinets, what's underneath the sink?
So there's the actual pipe, and then there's a drain trap underneath there. It's almost like an elbow piece that you would see underneath you.
And what about what is directly underneath the sink itself before you get to the piping and the drain trap?
The disposal unit?
Okay,
Yeah.
so is there a garbage disposal unit?
Correct, yes.
And again, is it one of these types where you turn a switch on and off and stuff that's in the
Yes.
sink spins around and gets chopped up?
Yes.
And did you disconnect, is it my understanding you disconnect the piping from that garbage disposal unit?
That's correct.
These are all in.
No.
Oh, no? See? Are you ready? 180, 181, go ahead, 182.
And 182. It's just the evidence package.
Okay, 180, RIP, 180, 181, 182, and that's the garbage disposal.
This is the can that this stuff goes.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, no. Your Honor, the state's just showed me what's been marked as Exhibit 180 through 183. I have no objection to their introduction.
All right, with no objection, court will accept into evidence as full states 180 through 183. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honors. Showing you Detective Esposito states 180 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me generally what you recognize this to be?
Yes, so what we have here is a flattened banker's box on the floor with a wrench, a screwdriver there, and there is a paint can, an evidence paint can under there that I utilized to when I disassembled the drain from underneath the sink. This is a photo showing that drain pipe with elbow attached over that paint can to catch anything that might have been in the drain.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, this is not taken under the cabinet. This is on a tile floor.
Correct, it's already been removed.
Before you disconnected this pipe from underneath the sink, was the can in the cabinet?
Yes.
And when you disconnected the pipe, what, if anything, happened when you started to disconnect the pipe?
So when I disconnected the pipe and tilting it and taking it over the paint can to catch anything that could have been still in the trap, I heard a distinct pinging sound of like a substance of some kind that was still contained within it, hit inside the can.
So is it fair to say that when you disconnected the pipe, whatever was in started to fall down into the can?
That's correct.
And at that point in time, were you now holding a pipe and above the can?
Yes.
At that moment in time, was there still then fluid still within the pipe that you're holding?
Yes, there was liquid inside the pipe, yes.
And is that when this picture is taken that you're still holding the pipe above the can?
Yes.
Showing you what it states 181 as a full exhibit, can you tell me whether you recognize, is this a closer shot of the mouth opening of the pipe?
That is the opening of the drain pipe, correct.
And can you tell me, do you recognize there appeared to be some white things around the mouth of the pipe? Do you recognize those?
I do, yes.
And not showing very well on the photo, but what did you do with those white things?
So those were emptied into the paint can with the other off-white color fragments that were inside the paint can.
So zooming back out again, does it appear that in the can below the photograph, below the pipe, that there are additional pieces of some white substance in the can?
That's correct.
And again, with regard to at least those white things that are in the mouth, were those dumped into the same can?
Yes.
Showing you states 182 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me if you recognize what this is?
So again, that's another photograph of the paint can with the liquid contents from the drain trap from underneath the sink with the I would refer to as off-white colored fragments inside the can.
And now the pipe has been removed from the image of the photograph?
Yes,
And is this a closer image of what remained in the can?
that is correct.
And if I zoom in on these things, are these the white fragments as you've described them?
Yes.
Now, with regard to these items, what steps, if any, did you take with them after the fact?
So the can was sealed. That would be the contents of it was, I believe, is separated as its own evidence exhibit. The contents, the fragments inside the paint can were put as their own exhibit number. The unit, the pipe, that was its own, separated as its own exhibit number. And then when I came back to police headquarters, I was able to get a little bit better photographs of them on what we refer to as butchered evidence paper on a table for better, closer pictures.
And with regard to the fragments, were anything ever done with those?
Yes, those were subsequently sent to, brought up to the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner for further examination.
Showing you what has been marked as States 183 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me generally if you recognize what this is?
Yeah, so here showing Exhibit 186. This was completed by me. I'm the seized by the investigator there, and from the location of where I seized it from. And yes, this is a label I created.
So, and again, this is the contents of the kitchen sink garbage disposal.
Correct.
And I'm sorry, what did you do with these eventually?
Eventually, they were brought to the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner.
Now, with regard to this investigation, did there come a point in time that you responded into the area of Naugatuck, Connecticut?
Correct, yes.
And what was your purpose for going to Naugatuck, Connecticut?
Several investigators were paired up with agents from the FBI to look for a phone believed to be owned by Ms. Holloway, and where it was last known to be pinging from in a particular area before the phone ultimately went dead.
And so did you go into this area?
I did.
And can you tell us, withdrawn, I think you indicated moments ago that there were, you were teamed up
Yes.
with other members of law enforcement?
Correct.
Approximately how many people, do you know?
I don't recall.
Are we talking more than 10, less than 10?
I would say at least a dozen.
Okay. And what steps, if any, did you take while you were up there?
Sure. So the representative from the FBI that I would happen to be paired up with during this particular time, there was an area that was, I believe it was off of Route 8. I believe it was the Cross Street area. There was an area where the phone was last known before it went off. We were checking off the highway off-ramp, ball fields, water along a river. I checked an outhouse. I checked, like I said, ball fields, a forest area. It was a pretty vast area. We were doing what we call a neighborhood canvas. We were talking with neighbors with possible camera systems that may have had information. Anyone that may have had some camera footage, if it wasn't known at the time, that we would flag those addresses, and investigators, those were places that they could go back to later on.
How long did you spend out there, at least yourself, that day?
We were out there for several hours.
And with regard to this investigation, were you ever able to recover your cell phone?
We did not locate the phone.
Did there come a point in time where you returned to the area of Naugatuck, Connecticut?
Yes, there was.
And what was your purpose to go out there?
We developed information that Jose Morales had a family member, I believe it was a nephew, Joshua and Amanda Morales, lived a couple miles from this area where we were checking for the phone.
Showing you what has been marked States 24 is a full exhibit, part of the CAST report. Do you recall the address that you went to?
48 Curtis Street in Naugatuck.
And this is a report that was submitted through a previous witness. And are you able to indicate, you see 48 Curtis Street on the legend of this report?
Yes.
And with regard, approximately how far away did this family member, Mr. Morales, live from the area where the phone was last pinged?
A couple miles.
I have nothing further.
I'm going to use that now. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Galvin?
Could you throw up that last page? Yeah. Thank you. Hi, Detective.
Good afternoon.
I just have a few questions for you. Put up that last page. I just want to go back where we left off with Attorney Stein. Are you familiar with the CAST report?
I don't have a lot of background or knowledge in a CAST report.
Okay. If I represented to you that there's analysis that's done on cell phones where they ping off of cell towers, and you can track that data.
Sure.
Right. You're conversant with that.
Mhm.
Correct? Okay.
Yes.
And if I may, States Exhibit 161, which was the CAST report, I think there's a monitor in front of you, maybe there too.
I see it here, yes.
Oh, okay, great. So you went up Route 8 to the area of Naugatuck, Connecticut at some point, correct?
Yes.
And do you know when that was?
I don't remember the date.
Okay.
If I saw my documentation on it, if it was a report authored by me, perhaps.
It's fine. Was it in December of 2019 or January, if you recall?
I don't recall.
Okay, all right. And you said that there were about a dozen investigators that went up?
Approximately.
Okay, and you were paired off, I think you told
Yes.
us? Okay. So the CAST report shows where the Holloway phone was dinging off of the cell towers in the area of Naugatuck. You see that
Yes.
red area there? Is that where you were investigating when you went up?
We were scoured all over the place, so I can't say with absolute certainty with this map I'm looking at the exact location that I was.
Okay. And would it be fair just to say you're in that general area?
General area.
Oh, okay, great. And I see that there's a notation in regard to the address of Amanda Morales, Joshua Morales. Do you see that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then there is, Your Honor, just using my pen, in the middle of page 24 of the CAST report, you see there's an indication Union City,
Yes.
right? Okay. And is that where the Joshua and Amanda Morales residence was located?
If Union City contains Curtis Street, then perhaps, but I don't know. I'm not familiar with Naugatuck to.
I know you didn't prepare this report, that's okay, but you would agree with me that the legend indicates Amanda Morales, Joshua Morales residence, and then there's a box. Do you see that?
Yes.
Box, the legend? And the box is up Route 8, correct?
Correct.
And just, I'm not asking you where Union City starts and Naugatuck stops, but the indication on the exhibit is that the Morales residence would be north of that Union City designation.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And did you go up to that Union City area, if you recall?
During that particular day, looking for the cell phone, no.
Okay. And the Morales, Amanda Morales, Joshua Morales residence is outside of the area where the Verizon cell towers had indicated that they had had contact with Christine Holloway's phone, area code 203-231-0269, from noon to 3 p.m. on Monday, 12/2/2019.
Yes.
I have no other questions. Thank you. Do you need this? No.
I have no further questions.
All right, very well. You may step out of the witness box. Thank you.
Yes, I would suggest, while I get the exhibits together for the next witness, Your Honor.
All right, so you're looking for the afternoon break so you can do that?
I'm sorry?
Do you want the afternoon break to do that?
That would probably be
So
fine.
that we can go straight into
Yes.
the ME? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to stand in our afternoon break a little early today. The next witness will be, thank you so much, Madam Clerk. To my right. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you. Please state your full name, spelling your last name, and your business address for the record.
It's Michael Hayes, Hays, 11 Shuttle Road in Farmington, Connecticut.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Good afternoon, Dr. Hayes.
Good afternoon.
First of all, can you tell us who are you affiliated with?
The Connecticut Office of the Chief Medical Examiner here in Connecticut and Farmington.
Can you tell us how long have you been affiliated with the Connecticut State Medical Examiner's Office?
I've worked for that office since spring of 2019.
And can you tell us a little bit about your background, your training, and your experience?
Of course. So after high school, I did 4 years of undergraduate studies and got bachelor's degrees in biology and chemistry. That's at West Virginia University in my home state. I stayed at WVU and went to medical school for 4 years and got my MD degree. Afterward, I went to the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, where I did a 3-year residency in anatomic pathology, followed by a 2-year fellowship in neuropathology, and finally to the Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, Virginia, where I did a 1-year fellowship in forensic pathology. Following completion of my training, I worked for about 2 years at the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner in Norfolk, Virginia, before moving here to Connecticut.
And can you tell me what is your role and responsibility at the Office of the Chief State Medical Examiner?
I'm a forensic pathologist, also known as a medical examiner.
And can you tell us what does a forensic pathologist or a medical examiner do?
Sure. A forensic pathologist is a type of doctor that specializes in examining human bodies to determine cause and manner of death.
And with regard to those responsibilities, were you employed in that capacity in late 2019?
Yes.
And I want to call your attention to a case number 19-21392. Is that a case number you are familiar with?
Yes.
And when when the services of the state medical examiner are necessary, how is it that the office would be notified?
Usually a death report is called in either by a hospital, a police officer. An investigator takes the report of the death, and we go from there.
And would the office send a representative out to a crime scene if that were necessary?
Yes, if someone is pronounced dead at a scene, then it's typical that we will send out an investigator to go do an on-scene investigation.
And based upon that person's investigation, would there come a point in time where the body of the decedent would be brought back to the state medical examiner's office?
Yes.
And with regard to case number 19-21392, when a body is presented at the state medical examiner's office, is a unique case number assigned to that?
Yes.
And with regard to case number 19-21392, are you able to identify the case name that is associated with?
It was Christine Holloway.
Now, sort of skipping to the end of the process, when you have completed whatever tasks that you are involved with, ultimately is a report prepared by yourself and anyone else who has any connection to that particular case number.
Yes, I prepare an autopsy report after each examination I perform.
And is that generally public information and transmitted to the law enforcement agencies?
The cause and manner of death are public information. The autopsy report itself is not public information, but it may be released to interested parties such as law enforcement.
Now, with regard to case number 19-21392, did you issue a report in the death of Christine Holloway?
Yes.
And I'm going to show you.
184. Just tell me how many pages. Yeah.
Pages.
22? 23. Your Honor, I've had an opportunity to review the autopsy report. I have no objection to the introduction of this exhibit. Contained within the formal autopsy report is also the forensic anthropologist report who will testify tomorrow. So I just want to alert the court that that is coming in as part and parcel of the autopsy report. And I have no objection as a full exhibit.
Okay, thank you. So the court will go ahead and accept the exhibit into evidence as a full exhibit. Thank you.
Attorney Gavin, any objection to a copy of the exhibit being provided to the doctor for him to keep with him while he's testifying?
Oh, no, absolutely not. No.
May I approach the witness, please, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Showing you up on, so you have is your monitor on, doctor?
Yes.
Monitor's on. So showing you, first of all, can you just sort of authenticate, if you will, states 184. Does this appear to be the report from the Office of the Chief State Medical Examiner with regard to case number 19-21392, the death of Christine Holloway?
Well, this is some documentation that's would be part of our case file. The actual autopsy report itself looks like it starts a couple of pages later.
Okay, but but for the purpose of this, do you recognize that this is pertaining to case number 19-21392?
Yes.
And is it signed by, or at least bearing the type signature of James R. Gill, MD?
Yes.
And who is James R. Gill?
Dr. Gill is my boss, the chief medical examiner.
And does this appear to have been transmitted in or around March of 2020?
Yes.
Now, with regard to this report, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, sort of now getting back to the beginning, when a body is presented at the medical examiner's office, can you tell us sort of an overview of the process that occurs?
Of course. So when the body comes in, the first thing we do is open the body bag and examine the body. At this point, we're touching it as little as possible, trying not to manipulate it too much. We take a series of photographs, look for any evidence that might be able to be collected. In a case that appears to be a homicide, as this appeared to be, we'll usually take a set of x-rays at this point as well. After that, if necessary, we'll remove any clothing. This wasn't necessary in this case, so she didn't have any clothing on. But we'll remove clothing, clean the body, wiping away any blood, dirt, or debris. Again, I will do another full exam of the external surfaces of the body, taking photographs, making notes, documenting any findings. At this point, in this particular case, it was also necessary to shave her head to examine some of the injuries. Once I'm satisfied that I've performed a complete external examination, I moved onto the internal examination portion where I put incisions into the chest and the abdomen, the head, remove all the organs, examine them, dissect them, again, making notes, taking note of any disease, illness, or injury. At the end of the day, the organs are returned to the body and it's ready for release to a funeral home, and that concludes the exam.
Did you perform such an exam on the body of Christine Holloway, subject of 19-21-392?
Yes.
And do you recall what day you performed this exam?
That was on December 4th of 2019.
And starting first with, I have a series of photographs, Your Honor, states 186, 187, 188, 189, 190, 191, 192, and 193 that I have shown the defense and would be offering at this time.
All right, so, counsel.
Your Honor, I had an opportunity to review the exhibit. Same objection. Thank you.
All right, counsel, I'm going to just make some comments on the record regarding the photographs outside the presence of the jury in relation to the objections that were placed on the record. So I am going to ask the jury to step out momentarily so that I can go ahead and do that outside the presence of the jury. Thank you.
What exhibit is the report, buddy? 184. 184.
All right, I'll first hear the objection in more detail, and then I'll move over to the state attorney, Gavin.
It's just a blanket objection to the introduction of the autopsy photos as they are not necessary given the introduction of the autopsy report, and Dr. Hayes is here to go ahead and testify in that regard. I think they're disturbing, and I think that they are motion invoking. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Attorney Stein, in terms of proffering the photos, what is the relevance of the photos?
Probative value outweighs the prejudicial effect, Your Honor, amongst the state's burden in this case. This is a specific intent crime. The state bears the burden. The perpetrator of this offense had the specific intent to cause the death of Christine Holloway, and I believe that these photos are demonstrative evidence where a jury can infer intent.
All right, but additionally, with respect to those particular photographs, if you wouldn't mind going through each one and just giving me
Sure, Your
an
Honor.
independent relevancy.
Absolutely. I would point out, first of all, that I believe there were several hundred photographs that were received both from the state medical examiner's office as well as a police officer who attended the autopsy and documented the process. I have states 186 is an introductory photograph that I would expect the doctor to testify with regard to identifying the condition of the body upon receipt by case number assigned to it in the photograph. The second photograph is going to show, which is actually in series 187 and then 188, shows injuries generally to the face of the decedent in this case, and then with greater specificity as to one photograph, which is to the nose of the decedent, which shows a penetrating injury that was identified by Dr. Hayes. Photo 189 is a side view of the shaved head of the decedent, which the doctor indicated that he performed, which shows an injury to her skull, proximate to her ear, just above her ear. And again, that photograph will be offered for the purpose of showing specific intent. Photograph number 190 is another view of the top of the decedent's head, looking down from the top of her head, which shows numerous injuries to scalp and skull, which it has been represented to me in an interview with Dr. Hayes previous to his testimony, are separate and distinct wounds showing, at least to a certain extent, the number of potential strikes. And then subsequently, photos number 191, 192, and 193 are separate photographs of different injuries on the victim's body. Actually, one Looks like this could be the same injury. Actually, what it is, Your Honor, is 191 and 193 appear to be the same injury, one a little bit closer, and then 192 appears to be the same general area from a much bigger, from a higher view, but they are of the victim's torso in a very nondescript part of her torso. It can't be identified directly from the photograph.
All right, may I see the
Sure.
photographs?
All of them were just...
I'd like to go through each of them on the record, please. If you don't mind, it'll take just a moment. Attorney Gavin, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you.
So the court has had an opportunity to review the photos, and those photographs are State's Exhibits 186, 187, 188, 189, 190, 191, 192, and 193. The court acknowledges that the subject matter of some of these photographs are gruesome. In particular, I would point out 186, 189, and 190. However, to note, this is a murder trial. It's anticipated that evidence that's going to come before the jury is going to be gruesome. This was a subject matter that the parties were allowed to visit during voir dire examination as to the effect on the jurors and the jurors' willingness to consider such evidence and deal with such evidence. Additionally, in weighing the probative versus prejudicial weight of these particular photos, I will state that I do acknowledge that they appear to be, according to the proffer and the report, which is now a full exhibit, independently relevant to prove not only intent but causation, also to assist the examiner in describing the wounds to the decedent, as well as describing his observations as he examined the body to make his conclusions, and to corroborate testimony from of the investigating officers who have previously provided in this particular case. Wherefore, the court is going to find that these photographs, and there are only 8 of them, the probative value does outweigh the prejudicial effect in this particular type of trial where the state has to prove intent and the underlying charge is murder. So for those reasons, I will go ahead. Attorney Stein, thank you for the heads up on those. You can move to mark those as full exhibits.
I think in light of going through on the record and seeing States 191 and 193 appear to be duplicates, Your Honor. So I will leave one in. I will introduce 191 as a full exhibit, and I'll ask the clerk to leave the marking of 193 for identification.
All right, 193 ID only. I'll accept the rest into evidence as a full exhibit. Counsel, you know your evidence in your photographs better than I do. If you say they're a duplicate of the same wound, then I'll go ahead and just leave that one marked as ID. Thank you for noticing that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, we can call the jury back in. All right, thank you. Counsel, before we begin, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, well, first of all, counsel, please stipulate to the return of our jurors.
Stipulate the presence of the jury, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you're about to be shown some exhibits which the court has accepted into evidence as full exhibits. I do want to instruct you as follows. The purpose of the court's entering these exhibits as full exhibits as they were proffered by the state, and the purpose of the state in entering these exhibits is to, 1, show wounds, 2, show examiners documented findings and assist during the course of the medical examiner's testimony here today. And it is certainly not meant to arouse your emotions. So that is not the intent of the evidence, nor should that hopefully be the effect of the evidence, as you will be later on instructed in depth that sympathy is not to play a part in your deliberations when we get there. So I just first wanted to provide you with that instruction, and also to let you know that the information that you may see may be sensitive content when it is displayed. All right? Thank you. State may proceed.
May I continue, Your Honor? Dr. Hayes,
Yes.
Shortly before the recess, I was asking you about the process. When a body is received at the state medical examiner's office and it is assigned a unique case number, does the process begin with photographs identifying the deceased?
Yes, those are part of the standard photographs we take for every case.
Showing you what has been marked as States 186 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me whether you recognize what this is?
Yes, this is one of the photographs taken during that examination. Again, one of the standard photographs we take of the decedent on a stretcher against the laboratory wall with the case number visible.
Okay, and again, is this regarding case number 19-21-392?
Yes.
Now, in this photograph, if I zoom in, I see that there appear to be bags that are wrapped around the decedent's hand.
That's right.
And is that how the body was received by the investigators on scene?
Yes.
And what is the purpose of those bags being placed there, if you know?
Those are usually placed to preserve any possible evidence on the hands or fingers.
So now, with regard to the autopsy that was performed on Miss Holloway, what would be the first step in the process?
So the first step in the process is opening the bag, the body bag, and again looking at the body before touching it or manipulating it, taking photographs, and then moving on to cleaning the body.
Okay. And was that done in this particular case?
Yes.
All right. And what would the next step be in the process?
The next step would be after we clean the body, again another full external examination, more photographs, and then onto the internal examination where we look at the organs.
Okay. Showing you and in this process, how are you memorializing in the process what you're doing?
So during the examination, well, first of all, the photographs are obviously part of it. Any significant findings, I will have my staff photographer document, but I also have my own notes. I prepare a body diagram and take notation on a worksheet, and I use those to construct my report after the examination.
Showing you what has been States 185 as a full exhibit, can you tell me generally whether you recognize what this is?
Yes, this is one of the diagrams I prepared while performing the autopsy.
And States 185, Your Honor, is 1, 2, 3, 4 pages.
Thank you.
So, again, just kind of flipping through them, who do you recognize the handwriting on this report?
It's mine.
And are you placing these notes there contemporaneous with the autopsy that you're performing?
Yes.
And does it cover various aspects of the decedent's body?
Yes.
And finally, are there notes that you write to yourself in the end of the report?
That's right.
Now, with regard to, you indicate you clean the body and you continue to photograph other aspects of the body. I want to show you States 187 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me whether you recognize what this
Counsel,
is?
was there any objection to that? I didn't take it into the record yet, I don't believe.
Your Honor, I have no objection. I don't think we introduced 185 yet, but I have no objection there.
All right.
And this is 188.
187, you said?
This is
full.
187, Your Honor, and I apologize. I thought that all these were accepted into.
That's okay. I did accept photos, but I didn't review reports, and I didn't speak as to the reports. So I thought the two of you had an agreement on 185.
Yeah, 185.
All right, so 185 is in as a full, and are there additional exhibits that are not photographs that we've already attended
Nope,
to?
everything else is already in evidence, Your Honor.
Okay.
And I have no objection to 185, the notes.
Thank
4
you.
pages.
Okay, thank you. You may proceed.
So, I'm sorry.
And just one other thing, Your Honor, just I'll stipulate that all of the exhibits that are going in through the medical examiner is in regard to case 19-21392, so we don't have to qualify it over and over.
All right, so I will note that stipulation for the record. Thank you so much.
So now, with regard to photos, Your Honor, 187, 188, 189, 190, 192, 191, and 192, I would move all of them into evidence at this time.
87, 89, 190, and 192.
Yes, Your Honor.
And 191 remains as an ID only, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, that was previously done on the record, but I will accept them.
193. So I have 187, 188, 189, 190, 191, and 192. 193 is an ID only.
All right, so this was done previously on the record. The jury is now here. I will go ahead and accept once again those into the record as full exhibits for the reason placed on the record outside the presence of the jury. Thank you.
Now, with regard to States 188 7. Can you identify what we're seeing here?
This is a photograph of the decedent's face taken during the examination.
And specifically with regard to, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what we are generally looking at here?
So we're looking at a front view of her face, documenting her, her appearance, including multiple injuries.
And specifically with regard to an injury or defect to the right side of her nose visible in the photograph, showing you states 188 as a full exhibit. Can you generally tell us what we're seeing here?
This is a view looking on the right side of the decedent's head, and you can see kind of on below the eye and moving onto the nose is what I would call a laceration, which is a blunt force injury.
Does it appear to be a penetrating type injury?
Penetrating insofar as, yes, it disrupts the skin and the bone.
So now, did there get to come a point in time that you did a full examination of the decedent's body?
Yes.
And I just showed you some external photos of her face area. Did your visual examination continue to the rest of the victim's body?
Yes.
And showing you, did you make any observations with regard to any strange or unusual marks or bruising on her body?
Yes, she had numerous blunt force injuries over her body.
And did you document all of those bruises in your report, which is the subject, or in your sketch map, which is sketch diagram, which is the subject of Exhibit 185?
Yes, I did.
So, and if, again, just you can kind of explain just a little bit what some of these notations reference.
Yeah, so this is one of my body diagrams documenting injuries to the body, and you can see I've annotated where on the body injuries are, and I've also taken measurements, how large they are, and also in some cases written brief descriptions of them.
And did you do similar markings with regard to the face and head area?
Yes.
Showing you what has been marked as states 192. Can you tell me whether you generally recognize what we are looking at here?
Yes, this is a fairly close-up photograph of one of the decedent's injuries. I believe this is an injury that was on her back.
And I'm going to ask you with regard generally to this area where I placed the highlighter, which is just immediately to a dark mark on the decedent's back. Can you just tell us what we're looking at here?
Well, this is a rather complex injury. Right at the end of your highlighter, there's a kind of a pinkish area that looks like a bruise. To the side of that is a much darker area that appears to be abrasion. And then again, to the side of that is what looks like a more circular bruise or abrasion.
Showing you what has been marked as states 191 as a full exhibit. Does this appear to be generally the same wound?
Yes, this is a close-up of that circular injury that I was just describing.
And in the foreground of the photograph, you have this ruler. What is the purpose of putting that there?
A ruler is included in every photograph I take during an examination, first of all to include a case number, but also to provide a scale so you can see how large or small something is.
So with regard to the circular mark, and I will, this is the mark I am referring to, Doctor?
Yes.
Can you tell us approximately, using the scale in the photograph, what the size, the approximate size of the diameter of that wound is?
It's about 1 inch across.
And is that based upon the markings here and approximately here that give scale to the wound?
Yes, and it's also documented in my report.
Did you see more than one of these circular 1 inch scale of wounds on the victim's body?
I did.
Are you able to offer any kind of an estimate?
There was the one on the back, there was one on the head, and some of the skull fractures had what I would call a scalloped appearance, so it was semicircular.
Now, before you begin any kind of internal examination, do you do any form of evidence collection?
Yes.
And can you tell the ladies and gentlemen a little bit about the evidence collection that you performed in this case?
Yes. In this case, one of the things I collected was what's called a CT100A kit, which is kind of a kit designed to detect any recent sexual activity. It involves taking various swabs from orifices and other samples. I collected blood cards, blood placed on filter paper to be used as a DNA standard. She also, during the examination, I noticed she had on her hands what looked like some fibers that may have been hairs. I collected those as well. And in any case, including this one, we collect samples, fluid samples, usually including, at a minimum, things like blood, to be sent for toxicology testing.
Okay, so let's take those things one at a time. So first of all, the CT100 kit. Did I hear you say that you collect a blood sample?
Yes.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes.
And I'm showing you what is already in evidence. It states 148 as a full exhibit. It is a two-page exhibit. Can you tell me, generally, do you recognize what this is?
This is an evidence bag that's been sealed and has a sticker correlating with this case on it.
And if I zoom in on the sticker, can you tell me what you recognize this to be?
It's designated as a blood card sample.
First of all, do you see your case number 1921-392 on it?
Yes.
Do you see your name on it?
Yes.
Does it appear to correspond to the autopsy performed on December the 4th of 2019?
Yes.
By yourself?
Yes.
And do you know, would this have been sent to the forensic crime lab following your autopsy?
Yes. I believe I prepared two blood cards in this case. One was given to law enforcement, and the other one was given directly to the crime lab, the Division of Scientific Services.
And with regard to, you indicated some fibers, hair-like fibers had been collected. What did you do with those?
Those were removed from the hands, packaged as evidence.
And what happened to those?
If you'll let me review my evidence receipts briefly. I believe those were packaged with the CT100 kit that, again, went directly to the crime lab.
And I think that you indicated that you also drew a blood sample of the victim for some other medical purpose?
Correct.
And what was the purpose of drawing that sample?
We collect blood samples to send for toxicology testing.
Was toxicology testing done on that blood sample?
Yes.
And typically, what are you looking for in a toxicology report that is part of an overall autopsy?
In a case like this, I do a standard toxicology panel, which would include things like common over-the-counter drugs, common prescription drugs, common illicit drugs.
And did you get a return of that toxicology report with regard to the sample that you sent?
Yes.
And were there any substances, drugs, alcohol, or otherwise, that were detected in the blood of the decedent, in this case, Ms. Holloway?
No.
Now, after the evidence has been collected, you've taken your photographs, the evidence has been collected in this particular case, what would the next step be?
So after the evidence has been collected, after I've done a complete external examination of the body, that's when, again when we move to the internal examination, which involves putting these incisions in the body cavities and removing the organs and examining them.
And did you indicate at some point in time that with regard to the body of Ms. Holloway that you shaved a particular area of her body?
Yes, I shaved her head.
And what was the purpose of shaving her head?
The decedent in this case had numerous and extensive blunt force injuries to her head. It's important in a case like this that I be able to examine them fully and completely. And she had, rather long, thick hair, which was obfuscating those injuries. So it was necessary to shave her head to fully visualize them.
Showing you what has been marked states 189 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me whether you recognize what this is?
Yes, this is a photograph taken during the examination showing the right side of the decedent's head after her hair has been shaved.
And again, just bringing you, what are we seeing in the photograph as I begin to zoom in just above her ear in this photograph?
So there are numerous blunt force injuries here, but most remarkably, above her right ear is a large skin injury with fracture of the underlying skull.
And with regard to this photograph, did there come a point in time that you performed an internal examination of the head of Ms. Holloway?
Yes.
And can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what findings that you made with regard to the inside of her head?
Looking at the inside of her head, I found, again, numerous skull fractures. The brain itself had been partially what I call traumatically eviscerated, which just means that the trauma was so severe that a large part of the brain had come out of the skull, and the brain itself had also numerous blunt force injuries.
And you said the brain itself. Did you actually have an opportunity to examine the brain?
I did.
And how was it presented to you at the state medical examiner's office?
The brain came in with the decedent in a separate plastic bag within the body bag.
And so were you able to do a subsequent examination of the brain that was separated from Ms. Holloway's body?
Yes.
Showing you 190 is a full exhibit. Can you tell me whether you generally recognize what this is?
Yes, this is another photograph taken during the autopsy. This is a photograph of the top of the decedent's head. So as we're looking at her, her nose would be towards the top of the photograph. Her right ear would be on the right. The back of her head would be toward the bottom of the photograph.
And can you tell us what specifically are we looking at with regard to various marks? Can you sort of take us through these marks that we're seeing?
Sure. There are numerous blunt force injuries visible in the photograph. Most of what we're seeing here are lacerations, which are tears in the skin. Also, kind of on the left side of her head, more towards the front, is another circular injury. Looks like a bruise in that case.
The area that I'm zooming in on, is this what you're referencing?
That's right.
Now, there's no scale in this picture. It's down lower. But with this injury there, if I zoom back out to the scale below, is this approximately another 1-inch circular bruise on her skull?
Yes.
Before I leave this, down at the bottom, do we see another circular type laceration as you described it? Again, approximately 1 inch in diameter.
So there is another laceration in the field right here. It's hard to tell from this angle whether it's circular or not.
So now, can you take us through the internal examination that you performed on the decedent in this case?
Yes. So after the external examination, we put in what's called a Y cut, going from the shoulders to kind of the middle of the chest and then down the abdomen. Open the body cavity up. We remove the chest plate, which is the front of the rib cage. Pretty much everything from the tongue down to the pelvis comes out. Same with the head. The scalp is cut. The skull is opened. The brain is removed, and all of the organs. I weigh them. I measure them. I dissect them, and as I'm going, I am examining again for any disease, illness, injury, trauma, and I also examine the inside of the body itself. So the wall of the chest, the wall of the abdomen, again looking for any abnormalities at all.
Now, with regard to the internal examination performed on the decedent in this case, first of all, you mentioned you examined the brain. Did you find a brain in the victim's head?
So the bulk of her brain had been traumatically eviscerated, as I said. So that was the cerebral hemispheres, which are, if you imagine a brain, the cerebrum is probably what you're picturing. It's the big wrinkly part of the brain. It looks like a giant walnut. It's about the size of a grapefruit. So that was outside of her body at the time she came into the office. Her hindbrain, which is a smaller part of the brain down kind of at the bottom of the skull, that was still inside her head. That includes things like the cerebellum and the brainstem. So that was still inside the skull.
Aside from the fractures, which you have already told us about with regard to the skull area of the decedent in this case, did you detect any other fractures in the decedent's body?
She did have some rib fractures, yes.
And any other traumatic notable injuries beyond what you've already described?
Those were the major injuries. The rib fractures were associated with a minor amount of bleeding inside the chest cavity.
And are we talking about one or more ribs?
More than one rib.
Approximately how many? Do you recall?
If I can review my report, I can certainly tell you. Looks like it's a total of 5 ribs were broken.
And based upon your examination, were these rib fractures fresh injuries, meaning they were not sort of healing or any type of an old wound. Do you have an opinion with regard to that?
There was no evidence of healing to the naked eye.
And after you completed the internal examination, what, if anything, did you do next?
At the end of the examination, it's mostly paperwork, packaging all the evidence, but the exam's essentially concluded at that point.
Is part of the responsibilities of the medical examiner's office to make a firm identification of a decedent?
Yes.
And with regard to this particular case, do you recall how identification was made?
I made a definitive identification by looking at Ms. Holloway's previous dental records.
So was the medical examiner's office provided dental records to compare to x-rays taken by your office?
Yes, we were.
And were you able to identify that 19-21-392, did you positively identify that body as being Christina Holloway from the dental records?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes, showing you states 183 as a full exhibit. Are you aware that the state medical examiner's office received an envelope with regard to several small off-white colored unknown fragments?
Yes.
From the Ansonia Police Department?
Yes.
And do you know, as part of this examination, were they examined by a member of the office?
Yes, these were examined by the chief medical examiner, Dr. Gill.
And did Dr. Gill, as part of this report, as states 184 as a full exhibit, issue an opinion as to what he believed those items were?
Yes.
Showing you part of states 184, this page here. Does this appear to be a receipt from the Office of the State Medical Examiner? Are you able to see it?
Yes.
And did Dr. Gill issue a report as to what these items were?
Yes.
And what was the result of his examination?
Looking at them under the microscope, he identified them as fragments of bone and bone marrow.
And are you aware that after Dr. Gill determined that these were bone fragments, were they sent to the state forensic crime lab for a DNA analysis?
I believe they were.
Now, quick question, Dr. Hayes. With regard to, are you familiar with the term rigor mortis?
Yes.
And can you just generally explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what rigor mortis is?
Rigor mortis is the way a body becomes stiff after death.
And is there a general sort of a rule of thumb time calculation for when rigor mortis begins taking hold and at what point it releases?
Yes, it is highly variable depending on many different factors. In general, rigor mortis starts to set in within a few hours after death and is fully developed by around 12 hours or so after death, and then starts to release over the following 24 to 36 or 48 hours. Again, that's a general timeline, and it does vary from case to case.
Now, when the body of Ms. Holloway was presented to you, are you able to indicate what level of rigor mortis the body was in when it was presented at the lab?
Yes.
And yes, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Are you able to tell us what level of rigor mortis the body was in?
Yes, I'm sorry. So I described the rigor mortis as passing off, so it was on the way to releasing at the time I examined the body.
Okay. And at what time frame would that generally occur within the parameters?
So that is usually within at least 12 hours to maybe 2 or 3 days after death. It's a little bit, it can be affected, especially in this case, because by the time I examined her, she had been received in my office, I believe, the morning prior to when I did the autopsy. So she'd been in refrigeration for about 24 hours before I started the examination. So that will also affect the rigor mortis.
Finally, then, Doctor, having concluded all of the processes that you described, do you have an opinion based upon a reasonable degree of medical certainty or probability as to what the causation of the death was of Christine Holloway?
Yes, I certified that as blunt force injuries of the head and torso.
And is that the mechanism of death? Was this determined to be a homicide?
This was, yes, the manner of death was deemed to be a homicide.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Attorney Garrett.
Hi,
Hi, good afternoon.
good afternoon. Just one question. Even based on all your training and experience and all the autopsies that you've done, Doctor, you can't tell us who caused those injuries to Christine Holloway, can you?
No, sir.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
All right. Nothing further from the state?
I'm sorry?
You're all set? Nothing
Yes, Your
further from the state? I thank you. May I exhibit on the stand? Do you have any, is that an original exhibit? I'll take that from you. Thank you so much. Please watch your step.
That's not an exhibit. That's a free step.
Okay. It's all right. Thank you. All right, so members of the jury, we are going to conclude today. I just want to give you an update as to the schedule because I told you I would do this. It appears that the state will be in a position most likely to rest its case tomorrow, and that following perhaps some administrative things on the record outside of your presence, thereafter the defense will have an opportunity to present a case if they choose to do so. So having that information, it puts us a little bit ahead of schedule when you were first selected and when we first talked about the length or period of time that you would be required to be with us. I don't know if the evidence will be concluded on or before Thursday evening at 5 o'clock. Friday is a holiday for the courts, so we will not be here in session on Friday. That would bring us back on Monday. And as the case looks right now, although things can change, obviously, it does appear that we would be in a position to conclude evidence at least some point during the following week, so some point next week if we don't conclude evidence on Thursday. Okay, so that's your update. Again, I remind you of your duties of your oath. I know you're going home to people who are curious in nature, and again, I just want to remind you this is being displayed on the news, on social media. Please do your best to avoid any publicity about this case. Turn your backs away from it immediately. Aside from that, have a good evening tonight. Please leave your notebooks behind. I appreciate you being with us. Thank you. Court stands adjourned.
All right.